all the drama after this verdict and the other investigations, not exactly a robust endorsement from top Senate Republicans for Donald Trump tonight.
That case was such a joke. I mean, she was even on CNN flirting, Dan, putting her hands on Anderson Cooper, say, well, rape is when you get thrown to the ground, and that's not really what happened.
John Cornyn, as a local report, Texas, John Cornyn's comments on a call with Texas political reporters, as reported.
From U.S. Senator John Cornyn out of Texas, the Republican says former President Donald Trump can't win the 2024 general election for president. He also says the GOP needs to find a candidate who actually can. This was all in a call with Texas reporters. Cornyn saying, I think President Trump's time has passed him by. And he adds, I don't think President Trump understands that when you run in a general election, you got to appeal to voters beyond your base.
Okay. That worked out for them.
John Thune with the Washington Post.
Donald Trump is the Republican nominee. Would you support him?
Well, I'm hoping, Leanne, to have other options.
Right. So, not the most overheated critiques of Trump, but undermining him. And the timing of this, too, these lawfare cases, for example, the E. Jean Carroll case, that you throw in with the other side on a matter like that. These are the same people who said, and by the way, Thune, that the tweet is still up, that after the Access Hollywood imbroglio in 2016, Thune was one of the first Republicans to publicly call for Trump to step down and for Mike Pence to be the nominee. To me, it's like the critical piece of this, the timing of it, really speaks to people who are, cake eaters, not street fighters. They will run at the first sign of trouble. They prefer to sidle up to the D.C. press corps as opposed to defend their own party. John McCain was like this, too. I've seen this act a lot over the years among Illinois Republicans. The examples are legion of people that are, I'm a Republican, but, wink, wink, nod, nod. I'm really happy to work with you guys. I want to be platformed by you guys in the media. I'm willing to, deal in a way that some of these iconoclasts in my party are not, because I'm the reasonable guy. And they're not reasonable at all. They're just weak, and they offer surrender as their opening bid. So those comments, and when those comments came, I find problematic with respect to both Thune and Cornyn. But the more important point is you have Rick Scott. Right. And you have Rick Scott, who you can have a lot of confidence in. He's not dynamic, but he is, as I said, purpose-driven, and he's sharp. And he, Musk has endorsed him, which is nice.
That always helps. But Rick Scott's got more personality than Mitch McConnell.
But Trump has not endorsed him yet, and we're waiting with bated breath to see if that is going to happen. Maybe he's just going to work behind the scenes to help with the lobbying and the vote counting, and try to sort of de-dramatize this event. But it's not clear. Although it's interesting that Scott has moved up. If you look at the betting market, Scott moved up to basically even with Thune in terms of likelihood of victory. Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Thank you much for taking my call. Yeah, a couple of things here. Well, both of those guys showed that they're not really loyal at all. They were way too quick to jump in with the Democrats or something like that against Trump and all that. Demonstrated just weakness there with those two cats. I mean, I agree with you 100% about Rick Scott. But with all of this being said, Trump's biggest threat here, or kind of risk factor, is the snakes that are in the Republican Party, not Democrats now. Now he's going to have to be really careful because of, whether these guys are really snakes that when it comes time to make some real serious decisions and back them up on votes and all that stuff like that, he's got to stick with known commodities like a Rick Scott and others, and these people that are just kind of like, what do you call them, fair weather people that, when
right.
things are good. Yep.
Thanks for the call, Craig. Yeah, right. I mean, why go with somebody who is risky when you can go with somebody who isn't? Although Thune is trying to refurbish his bona fides among Trump world. He put out a statement. I've spent 8 months carefully listening to my colleagues about their vision for the next chapter of the Senate Republican Conference, especially as we hit the ground running with President Trump. One thing is clear, we must act quickly and decisively to get the president's cabinet and other nominees in place as soon as possible to start delivering on the mandate we've been sent to execute. And all options are on the table to make that happen, including recess appointments, something Trump wants. We cannot let Chuck Schumer and Senate Democrats block the will of the American people. Well, I mean, that's sort of the pro forma statement you get from John Thune. I mean, the next time John Thune takes a firm position on something, please notify me because it will be the first time.
He just seems like a yes boy to McConnell. I mean, he was there too when he fainted. Like him and Jody Ernst, that whole pack always ran together.
Steve and Roselle. Hey, Steve. Steve, Roselle.
Steve, are you there?
Going once, going twice. No sale for Steve and Roselle.
Oh, but yet he's still on the line.
Well, maybe he got busy. He's, speaking into the clown's mouth for his morning coffee and bagel or something. The other matter on Rick Scott, the criticism of Rick Scott was the performance in the midterms when he was RSCC chairman, and he put out this plan that got criticized. Why did he put out this plan? This was silly. It's a complicated plan. So, you know what? I get a little weary of people, particularly on our side, who are afraid to lay out ideas on the table. On the one hand, I want a clear idea of who this person is and what they want to do. I want to get an understanding of their understanding of the issues. On the other hand, don't put anything on paper. No, you make your case rhetorically and in written form, and you defend it. And those who think that is too aggressive certainly shouldn't be in positions of leadership. So I hope, and we may have more of an indication by the end of this show. I've put some feelers out in terms of where people think the vote is for Scott and what Trump may or may not do in the closing hours before this vote is taken. Now, John Kennedy, the colorful senator from Louisiana, the anti-Rick Scott in terms of personality, had this to say on Fox yesterday.
We haven't even had a meeting yet to hear the formal proposals from the three nominees about how, if at all, they will run things differently than Senator McConnell. Here's what I know. We will pick a leader who will advance President Trump's agenda.
Okay, well, we'll hold you to that, Senator Kennedy. Coming up at 5:38, more on the Trump cabinet as it takes shape, including, we talked about a little bit yesterday, but let's talk about it a little bit more since the issue is so central. Tom Homan as the point man on mass deportations, 5:38.
And I really hope I'm reading this headline wrong. Kristi Noem to be picked as Trump's Secretary of Homeland Security. We'll talk about that as well. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
41 degrees at 5:32. Police in China this morning say 35 have been killed so far, 43 injured when a driver rammed his car into people exercising at a sports center in southern China. The 62-year-old driver was apparently detained. A judge is due to decide whether to undo President-elect Donald Trump's conviction in his hush money case because of a U.S. Supreme Court ruling on presidential immunity. New York Judge Juan Merchan is scheduled to release that ruling today. President-elect Trump is reportedly set to tap Florida Senator Marco Rubio for the job of Secretary of State. Rubio would become the first Latino to serve in that position. Senate Republicans will pick their new leader, Florida's Rick Scott, among those looking to succeed Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell.
I'm very optimistic that I'm going to win because I'm representing Trump's agenda and what my colleagues want.
Meantime, President-elect Trump has named former New York Congressman Lee Zeldin to head the EPA. More anti-Semitic violence reported In Amsterdam, 4 days after Israeli Jewish soccer fans were attacked following an international match, Dutch authorities say rioters once again have shouted vulgarities at Jews while lighting and throwing fireworks into a tram. A new report this morning says drinking increased during the COVID-19 pandemic and did not decrease after life started returning to normal. The study covered drinking levels in 2018, 2020, and 2022. The study was published Monday in the Annals of Internal Medicine. Cook County official is in legal hot water. Democrat Board of Review Commissioner Samantha Steele faces a charge of driving under the influence. She's due back in court in December. A guilty verdict returned by the jury in a Delphi, Indiana murder case. Richard Allen, guilty of the murders of 2 middle school children in Indiana.
After 7 years, Richard Allen was found guilty on all 4 murder charges, and this all stems from those 2017 killings of Abby Williams and her friend Libby German.
Allen pleaded not guilty to the 2017 killings. A Hillcrest High School shooting in Country Club Hills left a parent dead Saturday. A car now is wanted in connection with the killing. Police are looking for a black Infiniti Q50 with a fake license plate.
Very shocked because it's a middle school game, so the fact that something like that would happen, at a child's game was really heartbreaking.
41-year-old Samari Siller of Chicago was at Hillcrest High Saturday watching his son's junior high team. Police believe the attackers laid in wait in a back parking lot before blocking in the parents' car when they left and then opening fire. The Pitchfork Music Festival will not return to Chicago next year. Organizers announcing it's ending its 19-year run in the city at Union Park. Bulls fade down the stretch in a 119-113 loss to the Cavaliers. The Blackhawks part ways with veteran forward, the team placing Andreas Anasiu on waivers yesterday. The Bears go up against the Packers Sunday. Meantime, head coach Matt Eberflus is considering major changes, even firing staff over the offensive underperformance. The news, a service of Valdecast Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality and professional-level window replacement service. Contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella-certified contractor. Visit Valdecast.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
German pastor Dietrich Bonhoeffer joined a deadly plot to assassinate Adolf Hitler during World War II. And now his story of risking his life to save others is coming to theaters November 22nd. Win a trip to New York to meet Bonhoeffer scholar Eric Metaxas and see a Broadway show by entering today at 560theanswer.com/NYC. That's 560theanswer.com/NYC. And get your tickets today to see Bonhoeffer, Pastor, Spy, Assassin in theaters November 22nd.
Hello, my name is Gina. When I first found out that I was pregnant, I was in a very dark place. I was living out of my car or on the streets, working as a dancer at a nightclub, heavily into drugs and alcohol, and I didn't know how I was going to deal with having a child. People look at someone living like I was and say, that's why we need abortion. I didn't need an abortion. What I needed was help. So Aid for Women helped me move into Heather's house. They gave me everything: a place to stay, clothes, food, a listening ear, help with my daughter, everything. To learn more about my story, watch my video, and support this great organization, go to helpaidforwomen.org. That's helpaidforwomen.org. You can help save lives and souls like mine from abortion today.
Aid for Women offers women real choice. They really do terrific pro-life work. Please step up and support this great organization. Go to helpaidforwomen.org. The weather is starting to turn to fall, and before you know it, the snow will be flying. Are your tires prepared for the rain and snow? Remke's Garage sells the most popular tire for this Chicago weather, the Toyo Celsius. Why Toyo, you ask? The Toyo Celsius tire has been uniquely engineered to help you specifically navigate Chicago's extreme weather and road conditions. Not only is the tire the most round, minimizing irregular wear, the asymmetric tread design is able to handle the crazy Chicago weather when it starts raining 1 minute, icy the next, and snowing within a few more minutes. Have peace of mind when going down the road that your tires are prepared for the conditions. So, why wait? Stop by Remke's Garage today and let their team inspect your tires and get you on the road with confidence. Visit us at remkesgarage.com. That's remkesgarage.com. REMKES, remkesgarage.com. Remke's Garage, repairing America.
Is thinning hair or a receding hairline making you self-conscious? Try Hair Grow from New Nordic. Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start feeling your best with Hair Grow.
5:39, let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and this update is service of almostfreeteeth.com. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you can save 90% on average to get your smile back. Learn more, check if you qualify, almostfreeteeth.com. The Ike inbound. Due to an earlier accident, you're jammed up Manheim to Harlem Avenue. I-55 northbound between Veterans Parkway and Joliet Road right near I-355. You've got an overturned semi with 2 left lanes blocked. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy, clouds breaking for sun by the afternoon, and a high near 50. Cloudy and 41 right now. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. More of the Trump administration starting to take shape. The report that Marco Rubio will be nominated to be Trump's Secretary of State, not surprising. That Mike Waltz from Florida, congressman from like the greater Jacksonville area, will be his national security advisor. This is part of key posts in his foreign policy, on his foreign policy team, in addition to Elise Stefanik as his U.S. ambassador to the UN. Waltz, Special Forces, served in the Army for a couple of decades, VMI grad, Armed Services Committee,
Green
China
Beret.
Hawk. So that seems like a pretty good fit. You mentioned it before the news. Kristi Noem as Department of Homeland Security boss.
Yeah, CNN said, according to 2 sources, Dan, quote, familiar with the selection, said that they're going to replace Noem with, replace Alejandro Mayorkas with Noem. As the Secretary of Homeland Security, where she'll oversee the border, obviously, alongside with Acting ICE Director Thomas Homan and Immigration Advisor Stephen Miller.
Right. So the border
czars.
security team is starting to take shape. I wish we'd stop using the term czar again for the last time. It won't be the last time because it's just perpetually frustrating. Why we use the nomenclature of Russian royalty for administrative posts in our government is beyond me. Anyway, getting back to the substance of the matter. So the border point person, Tom Homan, is the star of that show. Stephen Miller and Kristi Noem will be complimentary. I don't really understand the Kristi Noem pick to be Secretary of Homeland Security. I think that's a bit of a reach.
Me neither. I mean, Homeland Security does oversee Secret Service, so it's a big job. And obviously, he won partially, because of inflation, but immigration people want a strong, secure border. I mean, who else would you have liked to see as Homeland Security?
I don't think Kristi Noem is going to be opposed to a strong, secure border.
No.
That's not the criticism. The criticism is there are people that have just a lot more experience and both to serve as an executive generally. I mean, I know she was a governor, but South Dakota is a small state. It's the size of Lake County. So I don't think we'd want to elevate the Lake County executive to be the Department of Homeland Security, no matter which party it was.
But tell us what you think. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that very same line.
So it's just the executive chops as well as the experience in these particular areas over which Homeland Security has oversight. I'm not saying she wasn't a good governor of South Dakota. She had some shaky moments, but she was okay. She's fine. She was in Congress before she was a member of, before she was the governor. She was on the House Armed Services Committee. So there's some background, but I don't know. I just find it to be a bit of a thin resume for that post. And there are other people, including people who served in Trump's first administration and proved themselves, that I think would have been more suited for that post, including Chad Wolf. That's a name that comes to mind right away. But so that's what it's going to be. And as I said, Tom Homan is the star of the show in every possible way. And he was on Fox and Friends yesterday talking about the job that he has been tasked to do, that he volunteered to do. I mean, he was at Trump rallies talking about what they would do if Trump was reelected. And Homan minces no words. I mean, part of the I mean, I don't want to be flippant about it, but part of the attraction of Homan is just his appearance before oversight committees in the House and the Senate, and just tearing up, as he did the first go-around, just tearing up the AOCs and the Pramila Jayapals of the world. Homan was on Message, though, the substance of the matter, yesterday on Fox and Friends, restating his deportation priorities, the Trump administration's deportation priorities, something you've heard him talk about in great detail over the years on this show as well.
Public safety threats and national security threats will be the priority, because they have to be. They pose the most danger to this country. So we're going to prioritize those groups, those who always have final orders, those that had due process at great taxpayer expense, and the federal judge says you must go home, and they didn't. They became a fugitive. So, and as far as worksite operations have to happen. Here's why, Steve. Where do we find most victims of sex trafficking and forced labor trafficking? At work sites. And the Biden administration shut down work sites. On one point, they say we care about sex trafficking and human trafficking. Then they shut down work site enforcement, which is one of the main areas we find the victims of this. I want to add one more thing, another priority. This administration has lost over 300,000 children that were smuggled in this country by criminal cartels they can't find. That's another priority. We need to save these children, because some of these children are in forced labor, some of these children are in sex trafficking, some of these children are living a life of hell every day, and we need to save these children and get them back with their families.
This is why Homan is so good, is because, I mean, he has a granular knowledge of both immigration law as well as the actual operation of the various agencies at the border. And of course, he started, part of his early law enforcement career was as Border Patrol. So he's worked on this issue for the better part of 3.5 decades from the bottom up. And he's just so good. And he also recognizes that, and he states this all the time, it doesn't get airplay because they want to portray him as sort of this uncaring, gruff guy. And he's just the opposite. He has saved more lives at the border than all of these sophists in Congress who are regularly pillaring him as some sort of cretin who's separating families. Listen to Homan talk about the humanitarian crisis there.
When you have a crisis this big that overwhelms the Border Patrol, where the majority of Border Patrol are no longer on patrol, they're making sandwiches, they're changing diapers, they're making baby formula, they're making hospital runs, they're making airport runs. When you take most of the Border Patrol agents off the border to deal with humanitarian crisis, that's when the fentanyl comes across to kill 250,000 Americans. That's when the sex trafficking has increased 600%. That's when non-suspected terrorists has crossed this country. They've had a record of people on terrorist watches that have been arrested at the southern border. That's why you have over 2 million gotaways. How many of them came from a country sponsoring terror? So I don't care what anybody's opinion is on illegal immigration. When you create a crisis this big, all these other bad things happen.
Bad things happen to people on this side of the border and the other side, and on those that are trafficked in here from the other side. Homan also had a message for, particularly important to BLM Brandon and Jelly Belly, message to sanctuary city and sanctuary state jurisdictions and the politicians who lord over them.
And look, I've seen some of these Democratic governors say they're going to stand in the way, they're going to make it hard for us. Well, a suggestion: if you're not going to help us, get the hell out of the way, because we're going to do it.
Ooh.
And he talked about resuscitating the effort that Trump advanced in his first term to essentially withhold funding for sanctuary state and sanctuary city jurisdictions, withhold federal funding, in various ways, the federal money that flows from the government back to the states. There was, litigation about it, of course, and then that litigation went away when Biden took over, so that needs to be revisited. And he said straight away, look, if I'm not going to get cooperation from, say, New York City, and it requires me to put twice as many agents on the enforcement and removal side in New York City, then that's what I'm going to do. We're going to do whatever it takes to get the job done, and no amount of caterwauling, sentimental silliness or political posturing from sanctuary jurisdictions, the politicians that lord those sanctuary jurisdictions, is going to stop us. Couldn't be clearer. Roger, South Side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, just want to weigh in on Kristi Noem. If she promises no more surgeries, I guess I take her. I mean, but she can't keep continuing to look like every Lakeview mom. You know what I'm saying, Dan?
Yeah. Okay. All
yeah,
right.
I do.
I'm here too. I'm a Lakeview mom.
Oh,
yeah, I do.
I thought
hi.
Dan was
How are
alone
you?
this morning.
Yeah.
I thought Dan was alone this
Yeah.
morning. Wait a minute. I want to take that back. Hey, can I chime in on the border guy real fast?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like 3 of these guys can clean up the entire state of Illinois, Dan. I mean, all you need is, hey, listen, the guy knows what he's doing. He's not, in all ways, he's got a proven record. I mean, maybe 2 of them. Like, maybe this guy could take over the Illinois GOP and then maybe put one of these guys somewhere in city government, and, like, we'd be fine. Our problem is we've allowed weak, corrupt, know-nothing, undereducated, no experienced people. That's our problem.
Yes.
If you get enough of these guys, just no. I'll compare it when they asked Tom Petty to change his second live album or first live album, Bring the Plantation. I think they got on him early in the wokeness, like 2021. We need, or sometime before he died, whenever it was. We need you to change this. It's too offensive. No, just no. It's not going to happen. And we need more no people. Have a good morning. Love you guys.
Thanks for the call, Roger.
Can I say something about Kristi Noem real quick? I mean, she is an accomplished governor. She was very strong during COVID. She doesn't even live in a bordering state, so I don't know why he wouldn't just have Tom Homan be the director of Homeland Security.
Well, you don't have to live in a border state because under the previous administration, every state became a border state. Just ask Whitewater, Wisconsin, or Charleroi, Pennsylvania. So it's not the issue that she's a border state. It's just, and it's not even so much about her. It's about what other options are available, right. And is this the best choice? So I mean, it's not like even that I'm being terribly critical of her. It's just I just think there are more qualified and interesting candidates out there for that post that will provide more value in aiding the effort that Tom Homan is going to be spearheading. Tony, Downers Grove.
Hey, Dan. Well, first, I've watched enough of MSNBC and CNN over the weekend and yesterday to know that nothing from the Democrats is going to change, no matter what they say. Not the piece by Maureen Dowd about the mistaken identity politics. They're going to play the same game, and they're going to advocate just doing it smaller, like they've always done, but they don't think about doing that, or they don't admit to doing that. But that's why the recess appointments are important. But I'm confused as to people saying it's not constitutional, it's constitutional. I know there was the 2014 ruling that was 9-0, and Obama couldn't get his 3 appointed board members approved, but that was technical because they weren't really out of recess. So the recess comments by Trump have given all the papers and everybody on the left the talking points about him now being a dictator, going into full throttle. So what's your comments on the constitutionality of it? And also, do you think that by appointing House members to cabinet positions, we're going to be in danger of losing the House?
No, thanks for the call, Tony. Well, first of all, I mean, which House members matter. So, appointing Mike Waltz to be National Security Advisor, I mean, he backfilled a seat that was held by Ron DeSantis before DeSantis ran for governor.
Oh, that's right.
That's a safe Republican seat, an increasingly red area and an increasingly red state. So, Stefanik, maybe a little bit less so, but, I don't think that any of the appointments or rumored appointments of House members to date jeopardize those districts or the majority. And I think they're cognizant of that. I mean, one of the things we said about Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, in addition to the merits, he's a China hawk. He has a particular interest and pretty good working knowledge of Central and South America, so a little bit more focus in our hemisphere too, which is a good thing. Maybe we can have a little bit of North America, South America alliance with Javier Milei and try to turn both of those continents around a little bit more quickly. But so that's one thing. The recess appointments this is nothing new, of course. So the press is posing as this is some sort of indicia of authoritarianism is just silliness. But you cannot worry about how they're going to characterize every move Trump makes. You cannot worry about that. Because, they are going to invent what isn't there as needed to advance the stories they were telling in advance of November 5th. That's just what they do. And that's what the left's going to do, too. And one other thing about the left generally. Understand what they do. I've said this before, they go as far as they can go, as fast as they can go it. And they will do things that are unpopular, but that in the short term, but that they need to get done. They want to way overreach and settle for 75, 80% of what they want because they've so moved the country down the road to serfdom that even if they suffer an electoral setback as they did last week, well, we can wait them out. We can slow play it. They'll pull us back a little bit for, a little bit from where we left things. But then when we get back in office, we'll do the same thing again. And the so-called middle ground that we're supposed to forge is forever moving left and left and left. So Donald Trump needs to, channel Daniel Burnham and make no little plans here. This needs to be the same sort of philosophy in terms of we're going to put markers way down the road. And we are going to run at breakneck pace to try to hit those markers before time runs out in my term. That has to be the approach. We've been taken so far down from 2021 to when Trump takes office, 2025, so much farther down that road to serfdom over the last 4 years. You have to play big ball, not small ball, when it comes to Beltway politics and Beltway politics as the underlying dynamic of advancing public policy. Joe in Naperville.
Yeah, 3 quick points. Kristi Noem's going to be fine. Any broad that could shoot her own dog is tough enough for the job.
Oh, gosh. I was hoping people wouldn't bring that up. Okay.
Yeah, second of all, Trump's doing it all wrong because he has no DEI hires. But the third serious thing I'm worried about is that there's going to be so many liberal judges that are going to try to throttle back what he's trying to do. And you guys are going to think I'm crazy, and I'd like to hear Dan's opinion on this, but we need to start impeaching judges because we can that do this kind of stuff. Use their bench to thwart political stuff.
It's a high bar, but I'm certainly not opposed to it. The Constitution provides for it in egregious cases.
I got a quick text message. Dan and Amy, is it me? But we'll have a Homeland Security Director that looks like Barbie Benton.
A little bit.
Christino, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Jason, New Lenox.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Lakeview Mom. I just wanted to bring up what you were talking about. I have not been or ever been a fan of Mitch McConnell. And I was wondering about that super PAC money that was never spent in the elections. Dan, can you enthrall me with your acumen on what is this dark influence? Is it still going to be out there? I mean, that's basically what I'd like you to elaborate on that.
Well, I mean, part of the argument, part of the discussion will have to be how super PAC, how all of the, there's all these affiliated organizations, and a lot of them operate independently, but independently within arm's reach, if you know what I mean. And so, some of the spending decisions Senate Republicans need to go over. The amount of money that was spent trying to get Larry Hogan across the finish line in Maryland versus getting Kari Lake across the finish line in Arizona, for example.
Or Ted Cruz. I mean, Ted Cruz complained that Mitch McConnell would not give him money for his campaign.
Not that Kari Lake was a particularly good candidate. She wasn't, which is one of the reasons she ran 6 or 7 points behind Trump in Arizona. But you're supposed to deploy resources where you're going to get the biggest return for your money. So spending decisions. But here's the thing about sort of the super PACs and the C3s and, all that was part of McConnell world and so forth. These organizations and the donors go where the power is. So McConnell goes away and let's say Thune or Scott come in, and then they reestablish around the power centers on the Hill. So that's the way you need to conceive it. All right, coming up at 6:06, we'll continue on our conversation about the Trump cabinet and the Trump vision. 6:06.
It is now 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
53-47. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. That'll be the new Republican Senate majority, flipping 4 seats with the last race now called Democrat Ruben Gallego in Arizona beating Republican Kari Lake.
I'm a husband, a Marine, a father, and a proud Arizonan. And with the results we saw tonight, your next senator from the great state of Arizona.
And senators looking to take over as leader are making their pitches to replace Mitch McConnell stepping down as leader. President-elect Trump is expected to nominate another senator, Florida Republican Marco Rubio, as Secretary of State. Fox confirms that Florida House Republican Mike Waltz is the pick for National Security Advisor. The head of the United Nations tells an annual climate change summit it's the rich causing the problem and the poor paying the price.
COP29 in Azerbaijan has the goal of raising up to $1 trillion to help developing countries cope with the effects of climate change. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres with this urgent appeal.
The world must pay up or humanity will pay the price.
The US delegation has been trying to contain allies' concern over last week's presidential election.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. At least 35 people are reported killed, 43 more injured in Zhuhai, China, when a driver rams his car into people exercising at a sports center. Police say he was mad about a divorce settlement. Today's the annual Zhuhai Air Show for China's military. News of the incident is being heavily censored on Chinese social media. Haiti's international airport is shut down until at least next Monday after gangs shot at 2 commercial flights, one landing in Port-au-Prince, the other taking off from Port-au-Prince. Rounds of gunfire echoed through the streets as heavily armed officers ducked behind walls and civilians ran. America's listening to Fox News.
41 degrees. Skies are cloudy at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. A Cook County official is in legal hot water this morning. Democrat Board of Review Commissioner Samantha Steele faces the charge of driving under the influence of alcohol. She is due in court December 27th. A guilty verdict returned by the jury in a Delphi, Indiana murder case. Richard Allen, guilty of the murders of 2 middle school girls in 2017.
After 7 years, Richard Allen was found guilty on all 4 murder charges. And this all stems from those 2017 killings of Abby Williams and her friend Libby German.
The girls have been walking along a trail near Delphi where Allen forced them down a hill and cut their throats. A Hillcrest High School shooting in Country Club Hills left a parent dead Saturday. A car is now wanted in connection with the killing. Police are looking for a black Infiniti Q50 with a fake license plate.
People are coming in the South Suburbs and jumping on the highway and getting away with it. So we have to do something to secure our area.
41-year-old Shamari Siller of Chicago was at Hillcrest High Saturday watching his son's junior high basketball team. Police believe the assailants laid in wait in a back parking lot, never entered the building, then blocked in the parents' car before opening fire. And U.S. Senator Dick Durbin is deciding whether he will run for re-election in 2026. The Illinois Democrat says results of last week's election are playing a big role in his decision as he becomes a member of the minority party in the Senate. The 79-year-old has been in the Senate since 1997. He turns 80 this month. Bulls fade down the stretch, turning the ball over 20 times in a 119-113 loss to Cleveland. Cleveland has won 12 in a row, and Chicago visits New York tomorrow night. Blackhawks are parting ways with a veteran forward as they prepare to go up against the Kraken on Thursday. College hoops, Northwestern looks to get in the win column when they host UIC at Welsh Ryan tonight. Last night, DePaul beat Mercer. The news service of Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of ad properties, Christie's International Real Estate. Experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago with over $800 million in sales. You'll get the most value for your home, 708-828-0000. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees the hard work pay off.
I just want to say the gratitude people are showing me. I feel weird when people say, Charlie, congratulations. I'm like, man, I didn't get married. The country is saved. This is your victory as much as mine. You know what I mean? This is a victory for every human being on the planet. This is good for Ukrainians right now that are getting mowed down. We knew what we were doing the whole time. Donald Trump, everybody, is president-elect.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combines heritage and innovation in every cup. Our coffee is locally roasted, hot air roasted, and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Whether you prefer a 12-ounce bag or a 28-ounce bag, or even the convenience of K-Cups, you'll find Papa Nicholas Coffee at your local retailer. Taste the difference that 5 generations of expertise brings. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee, because great coffee is our family tradition. Visit online at papanicholas.com. That's papanicholas.com.
From humble small-town beginnings to Hollywood stardom and eventually the world stage, Reagan is a cinematic journey of overcoming the odds. Told through the voice of Victor Petrovich, the film offers a unique perspective. With Dennis Quaid as Reagan, this captivating story explores the profound impact of a man who defied expectations to leave an indelible mark on history. Reagan is available on digital and will be available on Blu-ray, DVD, and digital November 19th. For a chance to win a digital download, visit 560theanswer.com, keyword movie.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation welcomed U.S. Army Specialist Brent Menard into a new mortgage-free smart home in Florida. Now, while on a road clearance mission in Afghanistan, Brent's vehicle was blown up by an improvised explosive device. Brent became a T4 paraplegic. Tunnel to Towers built him a specially adapted smart home that allows severely injured heroes like Brett to live more independently. We hope you'll donate $11 a month so this great work can continue. Just go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Terry's Tiny Homes, Terry! Sure, as the only employee of her company, Terry was probably the front runner, but saving money getting personalized discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive, well, that gave Terry the edge. Over Terry.
Terry!
Keep awkwardly chanting your own name, Terry. You deserve it. Woo! Be your own Terry. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements. Changing the world one life at a time.
I love it. Everything that people say on the television about it is absolutely true. As a matter of fact, my boyfriend, even of some of my Balance of Nature, he went and bought his own now.
I've been taking it for a pretty good while now, and I really like it. It makes me feel really good. I feel like I'm taking a product, that's not some kind of gimmick.
I've been a very happy customer.
I think it's wonderful stuff.
Celebrate this season with Black Friday savings all month long. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 50% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't miss out. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive Black Friday offer by using discount code Chicago.
6:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. Learn more and check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Eden's right now 22 from Lake Cook Road into the junction. The Kennedy Jam solid. Foster to Montrose, 45 in to the Circle. I-55 jam solid northbound between Weber Road and Joliet Road, right near I-355. You've got an overturned semi blocking 2 lanes and 2 left lanes. Traffic is mostly getting by on the right-hand shoulder as they're dealing with a fuel spill as well. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Mostly cloudy skies for this morning, then clouds a good way to some sun by this afternoon. A breezy day, a high today 50. Clear early tonight, that increasing cloudiness and a low 39. Clouds and breezy, shower for late afternoon tomorrow and the high 54. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
41 at O'Hare, next news 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Sci-fi writers are an interesting group, aren't they? They can often have great insight into the human condition and to what lies in our not too distant future because they're thinking about it. I mean, Michael Crichton was a sci-fi writer, and he had great insight into our politics and the human condition, particularly when it came to the eco-alarmism. And as what's the sci-fi writer? I think it was William Gibson who said the future is already here, it's just unevenly distributed. So in that vein, I was intrigued by this commentary posted by a sci-fi writer named Devon Erickson. Here's the argument he makes about the state of the two parties today. I'm not a complete subscriber to it, but I think there's a pretty good insight here. The two parties are not the same as they were in the 20th century. And he argues that it's not because the philosophies have changed. The two parties represent different communication technologies. The new Democrats are the party of television. The new Republicans are the party of the internet. This single relationship underlies all of their character and policies, argues Erickson. Democrats are the party of television, the few to many medium, and Republicans are the party of the internet, the many to many medium. Just to elaborate on this as you process it, in the 20th century, these are Erickson's words, in the 20th century, the prevailing mass communication technologies of the day, radio, television, newspapers, print books, all expensive to produce but cheap to copy. Making a TV show, running a radio station, publishing a newspaper, all required a lot of resources. But reaching one more person with that show, broadcast, book, was very cheap compared to the initial investment. It resulted in a particular communication style, one to many. Those who owned these media and could afford to run them spoke, and everyone else listened. Then the internet came along. This resulted in different communication styles, many to many. Everyone talking to everyone else, or at least anyone they wanted to talk to. Many people still wanted to just listen, but anyone who wanted to talk could do so. he argues not only does this change conversation, but it bifurcated the tools of power. America can no longer be ruled by force. It's too big, too sparsely populated, and too heavily armed. Opposing armies can be wiped out with bombs and missiles and drone swarms, but territory can only be occupied by men with guns. And the American population is so spread out with so many guns that no army in the world can pacify any significant portion of it except a few densely packed, lightly armed cities. And these cities are dependent on rural people to supply their water, power, and food. So force is out. The tool by which pre-internet America was ruled was deception. If you own or seize control of the means of communication, which you can do because there are few too many, then you can put out any story you want. This allows you to control what the accepted facts are because you can say anything without fear of contradiction. Even those who don't believe you, who realize that their TV lies to them, had no alternate, more accurate source of truth. They have only their skepticism. And they can't communicate to others because they don't own a TV station. But when you introduce the many-to-many communications tech into the mix, things change. Now you cannot control the narrative by seizing a few central points. And when you get your message out there, you do not do so without fear of contradiction. You can be fact-checked. Please see the community notes on Twitter, for example. And also just the crowdsourcing fact-checking that goes on. Anyway, back to Erickson. You can be fact-checked, and an alternative narrative can be presented by literally anyone who pays $90 a month for an internet connection. Deception is a lot less effective on this new medium. If you wish to gain power through it, you must rule by persuasion. This means not controlling what facts are presented, but instead controlling how those facts are interpreted. This is done by creating a compelling, persuasive narrative that strings those facts together into explanations for how the world works and plans for how it might work. And in a world that is split between few to many and many to many communications, deception and persuasion become alternative paths to power. And this has caused a split between leaders, leaders and wannabe leaders based on which style they are adept at using. This is why the parties have been replaced from the inside out on a reshuffling. The neo-Democrat path to power is control of the media. Seize control of platforms using wealth, power, and connections and allow only your version of the facts to be told. Then construct an alternative set of facts that implies that voting for you is an imperative. And, the examples, Trump is Hitler, global warming is going to kill us all, diversity is our strength, so on and so forth. Who are the constituents of the neo-Democrats? The ones whose interests they serve? The elites. It could be otherwise, since they are dependent on few to many media to get their message out. They must cater to those who can afford them that access, either directly or indirectly. This is why all the pop record label singers and Hollywood actors were telling you to vote Democrat. Their allegiance to the New Democrats was an inevitable consequence of their dependence on few to many media. This is why Fox is also aligning with the new neo-Democrats, despite being traditionally affiliated with the old Republican Party. They have to. They're a television network. The future of many-to-many media has no role for them. So who are the neo-Republicans? The Republican Party has been seized by wealthy and prominent mavericks, those who don't own or control media, but who have money or power because they have an unusual skill, tech investment, brand building, internet marketing, whatever. The neo-Republican path to power is to shape the narrative. They don't own TV stations, so they must speak on the internet. Since they speak on the internet, they cannot speak without fear of contradiction. Since they cannot speak without fear of contradiction, they cannot invent their own facts that support positions. Instead, they must invent stories that resonate with people and convince people to interpret the facts their way. I mean, it's really an interesting philosophy about how the medium drives the messaging and to whom it drives the messaging. The idea that the parties are not so philosophically different, they're just different, or to the extent they are, the differences in philosophy are driven by the mediums through which they communicate. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. The idea that the Republican Party is the party of the internet and the Democrats are the party of TV and the few to many mediums, because this is how they control the flow of information. And what you're seeing with the hue and cry over, I mean, it starts to make some sense, although I do think there's sort of still a significant underlying philosophical difference in terms of how to organize a free society between the two parties that would exist without the internet. But setting that aside for a moment, I mean, all of the misinformation and disinformation hysteria from the left, create the disinformation governance board in the Department of Homeland Security, these cutouts to censor social media to on behalf of the federal government when it came to content about COVID or content about the Hunter Biden laptop,
yeah.
or just elections in general on a daily basis. Abortion, the stories they tell that are apocryphal, but they just keep telling them and telling them and telling them because they're telling them through few to many mediums, television, for example, and they never get pushback. They never get fact-checked because they're all in service to each other, this cadre of people affiliated and or dependent on the few to many mediums like television.
Well, look at late night talk show. Could you ever imagine Johnny Carson crying like Jimmy Kimmel did after Harris lost the election? That would not happen. They were entertainers. These people are propagandists. Their whole show the past 2 years was to be able to push Harris over the finish line, and they couldn't do it. They all handled it differently, but they were all sorrowful, and they were all, downtrodden and just depressed on that first show back when they realized, oh, we had this great platform, and it didn't work. But they all aligned with the Democratic Party.
So the idea that there's some merit to this is confirmed by the left's reaction to the many-to-many medium. I mean, generally, in terms of trying to control it all this time since the advent and the migration of people from legacy media to online, but also particularly with the results in this election and thinking about some of the more influential podcasters, for example, podcasters that are more influential than major, quote unquote, major network news, like Rogan, for example.
Or Megyn Kelly.
Anand Giridharadas, who is this former New York Times columnist, is on MSNBC all the time saying some of the most outrageous things. But listen to his riff post-election on media and what it tells you about the insight that Devin Erickson has with respect to this many-to-many versus few-to-many divide.
Particularly the media ecosystem it's not a good one, it's a negative one, it's a radicalization funnel. But what they have done in their online media ecosystem is build a radicalization engine, literally the way militant groups do around the world, that takes people from relatively low-level annoyances with the world. Why are eggs so expensive? Why is my kid learning this new thing in American history in school that I didn't learn? And then moves them through YouTube videos, through podcasts, moves them from that annoyance all the way, slowly, to a full-blown fascist politics. It's an elaborate, multi-billion-dollar infrastructure, and there is nothing like it on the pro-democracy side. We don't have when a man is just lost and lonely and not yet radicalized, we don't have the equivalent of Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson to move that man in a feminist direction. By the way, we should educate men that it's actually really great to live with a strong woman who makes money. It's actually easier. Life is easier.
But I think
so the forget the tangent he went on at the end where he's got to check these boxes because he's such a peahat. But the idea pay attention to the characterization. Rogan and Peterson represent the radicalization funnel of the right media. And the right media is the many-to-many universe, the internet, generally speaking. Why does George Soros' kid go out and buy Odyssey and all the Odyssey radio station properties? Because they want to pipe in their propaganda through those properties.
Yep.
And, the same goes for the control of TV stations and the quote-unquote print newspapers that are mostly online now but still have print iterations, the daily newspapers in big cities, the Gray Lady, and on down. Thinking about it. So because they don't control it, it's a radicalization funnel. But what Devin Erickson is arguing is where they could rule by force before the internet, when they had control of the few to many media properties. And they didn't have to worry about being fact-checked, essentially rule by force by crowding out dissent. And so that was, always sort of their posture. And now that's changed, and they're struggling in this new world. He goes on to talk about Trump. This is why Trump, a lifelong Democrat, had to run as a Republican, despite the fact that his platform is pretty much John Kennedy 2.0. Somewhat, although John Kennedy 2.0 has no place, and John Kennedy 1.0 would have no place in today's Democrat Socialist Party, New Bolsheviks. But anyway, it's a digression. But he goes on Trump. He didn't have control over a few to many media, and those who had it weren't going to let him in. But he did have a lifetime of experience as a highly successful brand builder and deal negotiator. So he had to be a neo-Republican. That's why many of his supporters are former Democrats as well, all the ones who rose through skill or charisma. The neo-Democrats have no need of such characters since they are about platform control. And this is why the old-style Republican powers, such as the Cheneys, are reshuffling to the neo-Democrats, because deception is their strategy. Remember the Iraq and the fictional nukes? They have no power to persuade and no role in a future where power depends on charisma and narrative persuasion. And this is why the Obama-centered era of neo-Democrat ascendancy was characterized by internet censorship. The neo-Democrats were attempting to make the internet into a few-to-many medium so they could use their platform control strategy of deception. When neo-Republicans began to break through the censorship by routing around it, they were able to deploy their strategy of persuasion and start to win. And this is what makes Elon Musk's purchase of X even more important than we already understand it to be. The neo-Democrats, writes Erickson, cannot craft appealing narratives because the inability to craft appealing narratives is what defines them as neo-Democrats. They are the alliance of people who must control the venue because they cannot persuade. This is why they represent the machine, because only the machine can allow them control of the venue. They are people who cannot build a power base on their own merits, so they must serve the machine or they will have no power. It's really, I'll retweet it so people can read it and digest it themselves and hopefully spread it around, because I think it's the basis of a really interesting conversation. As I said, I'm not a subscriber that this explains the entirety of the new dynamic between the parties, but the communication channel piece is an important aspect of it, to be sure. Tom in Blue Island.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Dan, that was a great explanation of the left moving the Overton window. I sure hope, and it appears, Trump is going to fight, and hopefully we know Trump will fight, and hopefully the men underneath him are going to fight as well, because they have 4 years. The left are true believers. They're Bolsheviks, as you said. It's why Stalin had Trotsky chased around the world to get an ice pick in his head, because he couldn't have him out there. And the thing is, Kamala Harris might be president-elect if she didn't run against the name Trump. And in 4 years, unless the Republicans change the United States, if it be it J.D. Vance, be it Ron DeSantis, they're not going to have the name Trump to run with. So unless the Republican nominee in 4 years is Donald Trump Jr., Republicans better not get too high on their own supply and realize that they lost 4 Senate seats by the same mail-in crap that we lost 2020 by. Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Arizona, and I'm not going to say those elections were stolen regardless.
Thanks, Tom. Bill in Elburn.
Yeah, I noticed something I noticed earlier when Obama ran his first term. Whenever the TV signals were scrambled or went to all digital, he put out these PSAs about everybody getting the digital converter boxes on their television. I thought, that's kind of odd. Why would he be so concerned about everybody having digital TV? And a lot of us never even heard of Obama, even being here in Illinois. I thought that's kind of interesting why he would put such a push on everybody to get this digital conversion box under television. I don't know if anybody ever noticed that, but I thought it was kind of odd back then. Just my comment.
Interesting. Thanks for the call. Just to close this out, Devin Erickson, the 2024 vote split broke into people who believe what their TV tells them and people who look stuff up on the internet. That's an interesting formulation. I mean, we talk about college degreed and non-college degreed, and the for lack of a better description, the way people talk about working class versus the elites and so forth. The people who believe what their TV tells them versus people who look stuff up on the internet. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. This time of year is decision time for a lot of people, but it's also when you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For many families, joining MediShare means saving about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people, obviously. But what's more, MediShare members like it a lot. Their satisfaction rate is 98%. Imagine that. And MediShare is a proven thing, too, for over 30 years. It's a Christian community of hundreds of thousands of people now. And here's the thing. If you join before November 15th and you mention the promo code SHARE, they'll waive your application fee, so you save even more right off the bat. I'll give you the number here in a second, but just call and you'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline is November 15th. So call now. You'll save even more. Here's the number, 844-47-BIBLE. That's 844-47-BIBLE, 844-47-BIBLE.
All right, listen up. If a member of your family is heading to college soon, paying for college and avoiding long-term student loan debt has never been more challenging. Attorney Ray Kaplan at Kaplan Law Firm is here to help you, though, and your family make informed decisions and plan smarter for college by navigating and understanding all available student loan options. Don't go it alone. Set up your family for financial success. Plan college expenses together with attorney Ray Kaplan at Kaplan Law Firm. Schedule a consultation today by calling 312-294-8989. That's 312-294-8989. Or you can fill out the contact form online at financialrelief.com. That's financialrelief.com. Ray Kaplan Law Firm.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. For the first time ever, you'll get a standard classic MyPillow for wholesale prices, only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer their entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $18.88. Upgrade to king-size for only $1 more. Get the body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever and receive free shipping on orders over $75. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $14.88. They have never been offered this low before. They're limited quantities at this price, so the limit is going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY to get the standard MyPillow for only $14.88, the lowest price ever.
Success. It's discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us that comes before all recognition. It's the best of each of us made better by the best in all of us. It's what Stifel's been doing for over 130 years. And it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management and investment banking firms in the industry. Stifel. It's where success meets success. Start your journey at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Speaking of listening habits, choices of medium, AOC has a question for Trump voters. What podcast do you listen to? Tell me specifically. I want to know. We want to monitor you. She didn't quite say it that way, but yeah, she's very interested in the listening habits and podcast consumption of conservatives. 636.
Trying to get into our heads. And later, Melania Trump says, no, thank you. Love this woman. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
43 degrees at 6:32. Chinese police say a driver has killed 35 people, injuring 43 others severely when he apparently deliberately rammed his car into people exercising at a sports center in southern China. The 62-year-old man has been detained. President-elect Donald Trump announcing picks for cabinet as Wednesday's meeting at the White House with President Biden approaches. President-elect Donald Trump choosing Florida Senator Marco Rubio as a Secretary of State for his administration. And Fox's Aisha Hosni has more from West Palm Beach, Florida.
It comes as Florida Congressman in China hawk Mike Waltz has been named as White House National Security Advisor. He was a huge surrogate for Trump on the trail. And former New York Congressman Lee Zeldin heads the EPA, and Congresswoman Elise Stefanik has been tapped to be the next U.S. ambassador to the UN. Former senior advisor Stephen Miller has been named Deputy Chief of Staff, and former acting ICE Director Tom Homan taking this newly created role of border czar and vowing to pursue all of Trump's policies, including that mass deportation plan.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will possibly hold senior roles in both the Department of Health and the Department of Agriculture. Spirit Airlines plane and a JetBlue plane flying into Haiti were each hit by gunfire Monday. As a result, the two carriers, along with American, are suspending flights. Close to 200 structures are being reported destroyed in the nearly 21,000-acre mountain fire in Ventura County, California. Meantime, in the Northeast, a wildfire burning on the New York-New Jersey border has burned through 3,500 acres. This morning, we're learning that Boeing plans to cut about 17,000 jobs, about 10% of its workforce. A Cook County official is in legal hot water. Democrat Board of Review Commissioner Samantha Steele faces a charge of driving under the influence of alcohol. She's due in court in late December. A man found guilty but mentally ill in the killing of an Illinois child welfare worker at a home outside Springfield will spend the rest of his life behind bars. Benjamin Reed was sentenced to 100 years in prison for the murder of Deidre Silas in January of 2022. A Hillcrest High School shooting in Country Club Hills left a parent dead Saturday. Now, a car is wanted in connection with the killing. Police are looking for a black Infiniti Q50 with a fake license plate.
Very shocked because it's a middle school game, so, the fact that something like that would happen, at a child's game was really heartbreaking.
41-year-old Shamari Siller of Chicago was at Hillcrest High School Saturday watching his son's junior high basketball team. Police believe the assailants laid in wait in a back parking lot, never entering the building before blocking the parents' car in and then opening fire. The bribery and racketeering trial of former Illinois House Speaker and Democrat Party of Illinois Chair Michael Madigan is set to resume. And a teenage boy found wounded following a shooting on Chicago's west side. The 14-year-old was sitting in a parked vehicle last night when he was shot. The Bulls fade down the stretch in a 119-113 loss to Cleveland. The Bears go up against Green Bay next Sunday. Meantime, head coach Matt Eberflus is considering firing staff or taking over play calling for the underperformance. The news service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify. Almostfreeteeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get ready for a musical journey like no other when the Trans-Siberian Orchestra returns to Chicago on December 23rd on their Lost Christmas Tour 2024. AM 560 is giving away tickets. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/Christmas. Don't miss the Trans-Siberian Orchestra at the All-State Arena. Go to 560theanswer.com/Christmas.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements. changing the world one life at a time.
My husband's a retired cop, and I worked in a hospital for years. I'm going out right now because I'm getting ready to paint my fence. It's just literally amazing. And, you watch the TV articles and you go, yeah. Well, at least it's 100% returnable if it doesn't work. I'm not kidding you. It is the most amazing product I've ever taken.
Oh, I have a friend, Julia, who has taken a Balance of Nature now for quite some time. And she said, oh, Becky, ask your doctor about taking Balance of Nature. So I talked to my doctor about it, and she said, oh, try it.
Celebrate this season with Black Friday savings all month long. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 50% off your first preferred set. Don't miss out. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive Black Friday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
$20 million. No, it's not the national debt. It's the buying spree at Fox Valley Coins. And it's on from now until Thanksgiving. It's really the perfect storm. Gold and silver are at historic levels. Fox Valley Coins has a huge order to fill with one of their national clients. And September through Thanksgiving is always when coin dealers stock up for Christmas sales. They are especially looking for the old collector coins like silver dollars, all 1700s through early 1900s coins. All kinds of gold, from broken jewelry to gold bars to the old coins, U.S. and foreign. All kinds of silver, from sterling silverware to old coins and bars to Franklin Mint items. They can pay cash or check and make house calls on larger deals prior to Thanksgiving. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. They'll make free, no-obligation offers. Make that 20,000,001 reasons to go to Fox Valley Coins now. They give free in-store offers on your items.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a
Need to
PPO
hire
policy,
quality
which
candidates
includes
fast? You need Indeed. Our video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
640 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. It's an hour on the inbound Kennedy O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. I-55 overturns semi, blocking two left-hand lanes. Traffic mostly getting by on the right shoulder as they deal with a fuel spill as well. I-57 jams solid between 127th and the Bishop Ford interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Breezy, clouds this morning, break for sun by the afternoon, and a high near 50. Currently, in Chicago, we have 43 degrees. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I want to get to what the new Bolsheviks locally in Chicagoland, particularly the suburbs, are doing in their attack on businesses that are or are perceived to be supportive of Trump or conservatives, or even local Republicans, I suppose. But you had something on Melania you wanted to address?
Well, you know, I love Melania. Who doesn't? She has declined an offer to head to the White House tomorrow because President Trump is going to meet with Biden in the Oval Office, and normally the first ladies have tea. And one of the sources says she ain't going. Jill Biden's husband authored the FBI snooping through her underwear drawer, and the Bidens are disgusting people, the source said. So Melania is not going to meet, and she's already lived there. She doesn't need to meet with her, but, you know, she's just going against the grain and saying, no, sending a message like, I don't like what you did to, you know. Their house got raided. The Bidens' house got searched. It's a big difference. So she's putting her foot down. Good for her.
Trump has to keep up appearances. Melania doesn't, and that's fine. I mean, let's you keep up appearances for the purpose of showing comedy and the transfer of power and all of that. But if Melania doesn't want to participate in that pantomime, I don't blame her. That's fine by me. I do want to get to this because we talked about that restaurant in Wheaton, my hometown, Movable Feast, that's been targeted by the droogs of the left out there for having a Trump banner on their awning. And now I saw there was an update where that the owners of that restaurant provided, where because I think it's mostly a takeout joint, where people were phoning in false orders and so forth to try to overwhelm them and make them waste their resources making food that won't be picked up. So now they're requiring a credit card in order to address that. This is what you have to deal with when you're dealing with these animals of the left. There's something else, though, that I guess Awake Illinois has been unearthing. This is this is important, and it's just obnoxious, and it's a reminder about the nature of these people. Not everyone who voted for Kamala Harris, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying where the energy is on the left, where the center of gravity is on the left, and it is with the new Bolsheviks. And you sort of self-styled moderate Democrats who don't like Trump and vote for Kamala but don't like the censorious nature of the left and don't like this and don't like that but still consider yourself a Democrat. Well, this is what you're part of, however you want to slice it. Fox Valley, a bunch of Fox Valley, St. Charles businesses being targeted. A group of cancel culturists, including led by local politicians like a Geneva village trustee, are circulating a list of businesses whose politics does not comport with their values, and therefore they should be harassed. And let's attempt to run them out of business. There's actually a woman named Martha Paschke. Martha Paschke. She's an alderhuman for Geneva.
Okay.
She also apparently is the director of innovation and strategy for the city of Aurora. I'm part of Richard Irvin's administration. I look forward to him weighing in on this. She put out a list of businesses in and around Fox Valley. She's got a spreadsheet she posted. Fox Valley, West Suburban business with terrible politics based on observations of overt activity by the business or owner. These people would have been really, really useful in East Germany, at least for the totalitarians in charge. 3B motor cars in Geneva. Their crime?
What did they do? Put up a Trump sign?
Let's go Brandon on an LED screen.
Off with their heads. Next, who else? I mean, these are people, guys, you should listen. These are the businesses you should go visit.
Of course. Movable Feast in Wheaton. I think it was 38 motor cars. Alexander's in St. Charles. The Karis Restaurant Group, previous generation was Dem supporter. Current appears to be far more fluid, allows signs for both, but hosted Kane GOP convention and Bell's events. See, I mean, it's the previous generation was a Dem supporter. The current one's showing signs. He allowed a Republican Party to have an event at his restaurant, I'm assuming. So, please go make that person and his employees' lives, that person, the owners and his employees' lives miserable because we're freedom-loving adults who are protecting our democracy, of course. Alley 64 in St. Charles. Supporters of local municipal MAGA candidates, thin blue line, Blue Lives Matter.
Oh, my God.
That's
they
the crime.
back the police. Oh, my goodness.
The thought and speech crimes. The Arcata hosts GOP MAGA-friendly events, claims to be non-political. Tony Onesti, we know him.
Oh, yeah.
Outspoken to keep Columbus statues. Right, we had Tony Onesti on the show to talk about that. So he wants to keep Columbus statues, and he hosts musical events. He hosts all kinds of things in his theater, Arcata Theater there. But he hosts some GOP events, so.
Off with his head.
Bear Republic in Elgin. Karis Restaurant Group, previous owner was Dem supporter, blah, blah, blah. Same thing. This Karis Restaurant Group the problem with that next generation. Foxfire in Geneva. Owner sued state JB for shutdown. Had Kickstarter for legal expenses, but after reopening, allegedly used it to buy new equipment.
Good for them.
Yeah. Right. Foxfire. Remember talking about Foxfire for fighting to stay open. Gun Barrel Coffee in Batavia. MAGA-esque social media post, thin blue line, pro-gun. Heal or hide in St. Charles, Trump signs. Heinz Brothers in St. Charles. MAGA-adjacent candidate signs in 2023 municipal.
But this infringement on your right to freedom of expression and free speech, that's why a lot of Democrats voted for Trump this time around. So keep going. The person that should be canceled is this Martha Paskick or whatever her name is.
And this whole group, she's not the only one. She's part of a little cadre of local totalitarians. The Office, owner Mike Carney, MAGA, Facebook, and Twitter. You're being monitored, Mike Carney, just so you know. I'm sure he knows now.
They're watching you.
These
people are sick. Why don't they find God or something? Or
Sunny Acres in West Chicago always has GOP MAGA candidate signs up. Scoobies in West Chicago, Trump and GOP signs. Rookies in St. Charles, another Karis Restaurant Group. The crimes include, like at Rookies, they had made a special one. They made the list because servers wore MAGA hats. So you go after the wait staff too. Don't just go after the owners. Now you have to go after the owner, and then to take down the business, and then go after the employees who would work at that business, at least especially those who are MAGA hats. Then you have to go after them personally too and make their lives miserable because you're all about love and tolerance and acceptance and everyone getting along famously. Dukes in St. Charles being punished for the same reason. Servers spotted wearing MAGA hats. There's another goon. Paula Merrington, another administrator of this left-wing boycott mob, has made more than 15 posts attacking local businesses. It's got a picture of her. I'll tweet this out, this whole string that details all this. How about this one?
We need to visit these establishments.
Big Hearts of Fox Valley.
Yeah.
Big
what's
Hearts
their
of Fox
crime,
Valley
Dan?
is a nonprofit. They deliver coats, Christmas gifts, and hope to kids in the area. Well, they got a problem.
What's
The group of looks like area moms who put together coats, clothing drives, Christmas gifts. Big Hearts is run by the owner of Excel Automotive. And Excel Automotive has been identified as, being a MAGA supporter or putting a sign up or something. So now you have to go after the owner of the automotive shop, and you have to go over the nonprofit that he supports.
His charity that helps people. Mm-hmm.
Look, don't blame the mob for taking away Christmas gifts for underprivileged kids this Christmas. Blame the owner of Excel Automotive who funds this nonprofit because he put a MAGA sign up.
But you see, this is a mental illness that they have, and you think that they'd get the message, shut up, we won, be gracious at the very least, but don't continue this cancel culture, because that's why people aren't Democrats. I am telling you, they keep canceling people, and these are just things that we know about.
I'm not worried about why people are leaving the Democrat Party. Excel Automotive pictured in GOP Watch Party 2024 with warrior/MAGA types. So it wasn't a sign. He was seen. He was identified. They've got their snitches everywhere. Eddie Goodell's in Elburn. Anti-mask, anti-Pritzker owner went on conservative radio and press. I know that owner went on conservative radio and press because they went on our show. Sorry, Eddie Goodells. You've been targeted because you went on Morning Answer.
Well, I mean, when Trump said if they could do it to me, they will do it to you. And he was 100% correct.
Mike in Yorkville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, guys. So just real quick question. This person that decided to put this list together that was working in an influential government position and using government resources to distribute this, how in the world does this person not be in legal liability along with the government agency they work for?
Thanks for the call, Mike. Well, I don't know. I'll be interested if this is accurate reporting that this Martha Paschke, the alderhuman for Geneva, she's an elected official in Geneva. Hey, Geneva, you want to wake up? The director of innovation and strategy for Aurora. If she's a city employee for the city of Aurora, I'd like to hear from Mayor Irvin and the city council there about her and what she's doing. And in addition to, it depends exactly what they're doing. I mean, cataloging businesses and their public activities is free speech. But I mean, depending on what kind of activities this spawns or they're up to, I mean, I think you could perhaps get to a tortious, a tort claim, tortious interference of business. I mean, maybe in a civil sort of RICO claim, depending on exactly what they're doing, the way that we should be going after these more violent groups. And I'm not saying these people are opposed to violence, because they're probably not, ultimately. I'm not saying they are or they aren't. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. But when we go after Antifa, I mean, Antifa should be prosecuted under RICO because they are violence is part of what they do.
Yep.
So a lot of it depends on the behavior that this spawns and whether it's organized or not in terms of this list building that's going on by these new Bolsheviks in and around Fox Valley. I mean, Geneva, Martha Paschke, the trustee there.
She looks like you would.
Anybody in Geneva want to step up here? Matt, Birmingham, Alabama.
Yes, interesting to hear this name. We have a long history with Martha Paschke, going back to when she and her family first moved to Geneva, and she's actually one of the reasons why we're more than happy to get out of that town. Our daughter was in history with her daughter, and her daughter attacked my daughter so vehemently for being pro-Trump back in 2015 and 16 that we had to actually sit down with the history teacher and the principal and review it. It was such a train wreck. That woman does nothing but antagonize anybody who does not agree with her. I will tell you, she's probably the most joyless person I've ever met in my life.
Sounds like that sounds right. That description sounds like very consistent with this behavior. So it's time to stop letting Martha Paschke have the run of the place, isn't it?
Somebody step up and run against her. Start now. Don't wait. Don't wait till tomorrow or next week. Do it today.
Ed and Glen Ellen.
Hey there, Dan and Amy. Before I get to my point, I just want to mention Movable Feast is a sit down, and they added the carry out thing.
Oh, they did? Okay. I haven't gone there. When I get back, I'm going to go, but I haven't been there yet. But...
and they have a banner that says, Jesus is my savior, Trump is my president.
Oh, the horror of it all.
I think last half hour, this half hour is all, it all comes down to the portrayal of the Trump supporters, and those extremists, and all the different posts I've seen in the last week of people crying and just wailing. It's because they've been fed this narrative that we aren't your next door neighbor, we aren't your coworker. We're these radical people, and I was reading a recent In Primus, and they talked about price controls back in the 1970s, and Mr. Earl Rode said, the citizen's role in this program is to rat on his neighbor if his neighbor violated the controls. And we've had that since COVID, right on through all of.
Well, that's right. That's right. Thanks for the call. That's right. But let me tell you something. The idea that people have been brainwashed and they've chosen to fold into this cult and engage in this behavior, as I'm sort of indicating when I use the word chose, they still have agency and they have responsibility for what they say and do. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at mvpcfp.com. That's mvpcfp.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to mvpcfp.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
AM 560, The Answer.
By the way, it's Ron Onesti, the Arcada Theater in St. Charles. I think I said Tony because, I think every Italian is named Tony. All right, that sound means it's time for In-Depth History with Frank, the history teacher from Arlington Heights, because there's nothing new in this world, just the history we don't know, and Frank does. Take it away, Frank.
Good morning. Known as the Happy Warrior, New York Governor Al Smith was a progressive reformer and the failed Democratic nominee for president in 1928. Born in 1871 and a Catholic of Irish, German, and Italian backgrounds, Smith had to drop out of school at age 13 when his father died so he could help his mother raise his siblings. He worked at the Fulton Fish Market near the Brooklyn Bridge, where he learned from the School of Hard Knocks. As such, Smith firmly believed that government should actually do things that improve on people's lives rather than being a tool of the wealthy elite. Helped but untainted by Tammany Hall, Smith once said, "All the ills of democracy can be cured by more democracy." The elections of 2020 and then 2024 just proved that statement. Back here in the land of Lenin, and oblivious to history, and in an act of either ignorance or brazen biographical appropriation, last week Governor Pritzker, in Napoleonic fashion, crowned himself as a happy warrior. Maybe he didn't realize the origin of that moniker for Smith was when FDR gave him that title in a 1924 nominating speech. JB is also likely unaware of another Democratic president, JFK, who praised Smith at his eponymous dinner in 1959. And Al Smith was a happy warrior because, more perhaps than any other leader of his time, he lived up to those words of Pericles burying the Athenian dead. "The secret of happiness," said Pericles, "is freedom, and the secret of freedom is a brave heart."
Thanks, Frank, from Arlington Heights. I appreciate that, as always. Very good. Thanks, Frank.
It's 7 a.m., WIND, Chicago.
Still a convicted felon for now. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News, but President-elect Trump's criminal conviction in New York could be thrown out today, or not. Fox's Gernal Scott.
Judge Juan Merchan said today is when he will decide if President-elect Trump's sentencing on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records stays on track for November 26th, or does a Supreme Court immunity ruling covering acts while president mean the conviction will be thrown out. The president-elect denies any relationship with adult film actress Stormy Daniels. Payments made to her came before his first election, but repayments to ex-lawyer Michael Cohen were discussed in the Oval Office. Prosecutors say the conviction covers personal conduct for which President-elect Trump is not immune.
And President-elect Trump is expected to nominate Florida Senator Marco Rubio as Secretary of State and will, Fox confirms, nominate Florida Congressman Mike Waltz as National Security Advisor.
President-elect Trump tapping former Congressman Lee Zeldin to lead the Environmental Protection Agency. Another New Yorker, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, is accepting the nomination to be the next U.S. ambassador to the UN. Trump's former senior advisor and immigration hawk Stephen Miller congratulated by Vice President-elect Vance as Trump's new deputy chief of staff.
Fox's Aisha Hosni in West Palm Beach, Florida. The new Senate will have 53 Republicans, 47 Democrats, with the races all now called.
Arizona Democrat Ruben Gallego scores a victory and keeps Republicans from padding their majority in the U.S. Senate. AP projects that Gallego defeated Republican Carrie Lake to win the open Senate seat, 50% to 48%.
Fox's Carmen Roberts, Democrat turned independent Senator Kirsten Sinema did not run for re-election. 35 people are reported killed by a man in China driving into a crowd at a sports center. America's listening to Fox News.
43 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A Cook County official is in legal hot water. Democrat Board of Review Commissioner Samantha Steele faces a charge of driving under the influence of alcohol after crashing her car on the north side Sunday night. She's due in court in late December. A guilty verdict returned by the jury in the Delphi, Indiana murder case of Richard Allen.
After 7 years, Richard Allen was found guilty on all 4 murder charges. And this all stems from those 2017 killings of Abby Williams and her friend Libby German.
Monday's verdict comes after a 4-week trial. The girls have been walking along the Monon High Trail near Delphi when Allen cut their throats. A Hillcrest High School shooting in Country Club Hills left a parent dead Saturday. A car is now wanted in connection with the killing. Police are looking for a black Infiniti Q50 that fled the scene with a fake license plate.
People are coming in the south suburbs and jumping on the highway and getting away with it. So we have to do something to secure our area.
Police say there's no evidence the wanted suspects entered the building. Instead, they believe they laid in wait in a back parking lot before blocking in the parents' car and opening fire. University of Chicago police are investigating after 2 students were robbed at gunpoint on the city's Hyde Park campus early yesterday morning. And a military veteran with dementia has been found safe in Park Forest. Calvin Holliday, last seen Sunday. The 79-year-old with dementia and Alzheimer's has been safely reunited with his family. Bulls lost to Cleveland 119-113. College hoops, Notre Dame came alive with a win over Buffalo last night. Northwestern looks to get back in the win column when they host UIC. The news, a service of Balance of Nature, fruits and veggies in a capsule. Save 35% off your first preferred order with promo code Chicago. Order online at balanceofnature.com as a preferred customer. Hurry, offer ends soon. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Larry Elder is still basking in it.
It went far better than even I had imagined. I said before, I knew he would do better than he did 4 years ago. But to literally obliterate Kamala Harris. And by the way, Kamala Harris underperformed Joe Biden in every single county in America.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Paul Jenkins, owner of Bancroft Architects and Engineers, a service-disabled veteran-owned small business providing design solutions for clients, including the VA. When looking for a trusted banking partner, Bancroft was lucky to find that partner in Signature Bank in 2015. With Signature, personal service goes beyond a login and a PIN number. My staff and I have the comfort of knowing that we're dealing with real people who know our business and care about us as individuals. Signature helped finance our new state-of-the-art facility, and Bancroft looks forward to further expanding business opportunities for disabled veterans and historically disadvantaged communities.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Police officer and K-9 handler Jacob Russell Chaffins was fatally shot while attempting to serve warrants for domestic violence offenses. And thanks to friends like you and your generosity, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave the Chaffins family the gift of a mortgage-free home. There's so much more to do and to say thank you to our nation's heroes and their families for their immense sacrifices, all for us. Donate $11 a month. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Terry's Tiny Homes, Terry! Sure, as the only employee of her company, Terry was probably the front runner, but saving money getting personalized discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive, well, that gave Terry the edge. Over Terry.
Terry, Terry.
Keep awkwardly
Terry,
chanting your own
Terry,
name, Terry. You
Terry.
deserve it.
Woo!
Be your own Terry. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
My husband's a retired cop, and I worked in a hospital for years. I'm going out right now because I'm getting ready to paint my fence. It's just literally amazing. And, you know, you watch the TV articles, you go, yeah. Well, at least it's 100% returnable if it doesn't work. I'm not kidding you. It is the most amazing product I've ever taken.
Oh, I have a friend, Julia, who has taken a balance of nature now for quite some time, and she said, "Oh, Becky, ask your doctor about taking balance of nature." So I talked to my doctor about it, and she said, "Oh, try it."
Celebrate this season with Black Friday savings all month long. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 50% off your first preferred set. Don't miss out. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive Black Friday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations. Heritage and innovation in every cup. Hot air roasted locally, cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Online at papanicholas.com. Kennedy at 77 minutes, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike right now, 65 minutes. 390 to the old post office. Still dealing with major problems on I-55 northbound. They're riding an overturned semi, blocking 2 left-hand lanes between Weber Road and Joliet Road. Delays on the Tri-State, jamming up northbound between the Cermak toll and the Ike. Jane Addams, stop and go eastbound between Meacham and Route 53. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Clouds and breezy this morning, followed by some breaks of sun for the afternoon. The high today 50. Clear early tonight, then increasing cloudiness, low 39. Clouds and breezy, shower for late afternoon tomorrow, the high at 54. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
43 at O'Hare, next news 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. One of the issues that I think surprised the left, they tried to dismiss it, Kamala on down, but it turned out that there were enough people that were either impacted by it or appreciated what it represents in terms of the thinking and the character of people who support the position that, say, for example, taxpayers should fund the gender reassignment surgeries of prison inmates, or that boys should be playing in girls' sports, or that children under the age of consent, but even under the age of 10, toddlers almost, should be in charge of making decisions that involve surgeries and their future health. Not just involved, being the drivers of said decisions, that parents should be cut out of any discussion about how their children identify, by what names they go in school. And if the parent is not affirming, that the parent could be subject to state targeting in a state like California.
Losing their children.
And yet, this is an example. You think that they are properly chastened by the election results? Some may be, but again, not the most prominent voices on the prominent platforms that amplify said prominent voices of the left, because this is where the critical mass is in that party. And it's not going to be very easy to dislodge for any on that side who would like to do so. Shermichael Singleton is a GOP operative, and he's a contributor on CNN. This is an exchange between Shermichael Singleton and Rabbi Jay Michelson over the trans issue, generally speaking, but you never really get to a discussion of the issue because Rabbi Jay Michelson is too busy serving as hall monitor for the vocabulary that's used to discuss the issue.
I think there are a lot of families out there who
don't believe boys should play girls' sports.
They're not boys. I'm not going to listen to transphobia at this table. I am not going to listen to you call a trans girl a boy.
Are you going to allow me to finish my explanation?
When you use a word that's a slur, I'm going to interrupt. That's not how it is. They're not boys. They're not boys. They're not playing girls softball. I'm not going to sit there and listen to that.
Let's reset for a second because, look, this is a really heated issue, right? And Sharmichael, I know you. I know that you understand that people have different views on this. I think out of respect for Jay, let's try to talk about this in a way that is respectful.
Okay, so let me rephrase this since I'm being targeted here.
I don't. Just to be clear, you are not being targeted.
I am, but it's okay.
I'm specifically saying that I know that you are not intending to be transphobic.
He should know that I'm not. But he wants to sit here and bloviate.
I'm saying you're using a phrase that you know.
So
the way regular people interpret it,
that's not regular people. That's not regular people. There's no consensus that these are actually boys. This whole thing about trans girls is a canard. We're talking about a tiny, tiny sliver of the population.
That may be the
and
case,
we're using that
my point in
to
terms
take away
of its
healthcare from thousands of people.
Hold on, just get to your point.
My point in terms of its effectiveness.
It doesn't even matter at that point because it just speaks. I mean, and that's a version of what Kamala tried to do. It's a small fraction of this, and there are canards out there. It's being demagogued by people who traffic in hate and so on and so forth. Okay, but it is a nice illustration post-election of the total lack of self-reflection, which you can expect to continue unabated, and the intolerance for any sort of substantive discourse amid all of the phony baloney calls for unity and this and that and protecting the vulnerable and so on and so forth. They just so overplayed their hand, as we know. Now the question becomes, what do we and what does the Trump administration do in response? Well, during the campaign, as we talked about yesterday, now that his campaign videos are sort of resurfacing as the policy framing for the Trump administration, I mean, he spoke with complete moral clarity on the issue of what he will do to end gender identity politics driving medical decisions and decisions about parental rights in a school setting and so forth. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Madeline Kearns, Associate Editor at the Free Press. Madeline, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So, I mean, as I said, and I'm sure as you've seen, Trump is very clear about this issue with respect to boys playing girls' sports, with respect to parents being cut out of decisions involving their children, with respect to medical institutions that do surgeries on minor children of this sort. And, this turned out to be, it seems to me, to Sharmichael Singleton, although he wasn't able to get it out, and many others, including on the left, that this became a much bigger issue than they expected it to be.
Yeah, so I think Democrats had really banked on reproductive rights, so-called reproductive rights being the big issue this election cycle. They made that clear in their messaging. They poured tons of money into that. But actually, abortion ended up being a bit of an electoral flop. People were persuaded, I think, by Trump's moderation on the issue. And in fact, half of the people who say abortion should be legal in most cases voted for Trump. Anyway, that's a group that Joe Biden won in 2020 by 38 points. So it goes to show that was clearly not the top issue on people's minds. But yeah, the transgender issue was a real winner, and Republicans saw its potential actually as early as 2022. They've been doing message testing on political ads, and they've found that it was really, really successful in moving swing voters. And so they spent $250 million this year on ads, and they were very pithy, they were very effective, very memorable. One of them ended with, Kamala Harris, she's for they, them, Trump's for you. And I think that really had in people's minds, the idea that Trump is really caring about the issues that they care about, whether it's immigration, inflation, not all this woke nonsense that's got nothing to do with everyday life.
Well, and the other thing, too, is even if you weren't sort of directly impacted by the gender identity politics, so many more Americans than they want to acknowledge were at least indirectly, because Their kids go to schools where you're dealing with gentlemen like that rabbi who call you transphobic if you call a boy a boy. And, you know, I think it just strikes most Americans, and the polling suggests this, I know, as just Looney Tunes. And if you're adopting the Looney Tunes and then you're moralizing about the Looney Tunes position, that's a real turnoff.
Absolutely. I mean, the idea that it's a slur to call boys boys is just ridiculous. And in fact, it's a rhetorical sleight of hand. It's a way of controlling the terms of the debate. Because, of course, if we start referring to biological males or men, whatever you want to call them, if we start referring to them as women, whether it's trans women or trans women are women, whatever it is, you kind of lose the debate, right? Because if they're women, then, well, why aren't they in women's sports? And the point
Right.
here is that this is not about gender identity. This is about sex. It's about anatomical sex, something we could all agree on until very recently. And it's not being mean. It's not being bigoted. It's just pointing out a simple fact, which is that men and women are different. Men have biological advantages, and so they should not be competing against women. This is basic stuff. And I think the reason that Trump was so successful on this is that he was able to promise to do things or to undo things that the Biden administration had done. So, for instance, the Biden's education department broadening of Title IX, that's the part of the Civil Rights Act that protects women in education, or at least it's supposed to. And Biden had collapsed the distinction between men and women, essentially requiring all schools receiving federal funds to admit biological males into women's private spaces and sports teams. And Trump said, we're gonna undo that. We're gonna go back to common sense. And he made the same sort of promises with the issue of medicalized gender transitions for minors.
The response on, you brought it up, of course, abortion, which the Democrats were banking so much on. So that hasn't changed either after the election in terms of what you're hearing. It's a lot of the sort of the model and scare stories about how do I tell my 12-year-old daughter that if she gets raped, she can't get an abortion. I mean, what a bizarre sort of sick conversation to have. But this is California Representative Katie Porter.
So on election night, I went to pick up my daughter from water polo practice, and she's 12, and she got in the car and she was crying. And I said, did someone punch you? Like, water polo is a rough sport. I was like, did someone hit you? Did the coach yell at you? What happened? And she said, Mom, Trump won. Trump's going to win. And what if I get raped and I need to have an abortion? This is from a 12-year-old, my 12-year-old daughter. And so it was really a reminder of how scary this time is for people, and how important it is for Democrats to have strategies, both at the state level and the federal level, to make sure that we can continue to protect people's rights.
I mean, forget even that she's in California. Forget even that most states under Dobbs have rape and incest exceptions. I mean, just the nature of that messaging, Madeline.
Yeah, I mean, if your 12-year-old is saying things like that, then clearly you need to be more careful about what you're saying around her, because that's not an organic thought for a child to have. And yeah, as you say, she's in California, and California has one of the most permissive abortion regimes in the whole country. You can really get an abortion basically all 3 trimesters, through various loopholes. So I think there is a lot of fear-mongering. The truth of the matter is, yes, support for abortion access has become more popular in the years since Dobbs, but not all that much has actually changed, in the sense that in blue states where most people are pro-choice, abortion is widely accessible, and at least 6 states have no gestational limits. And in red states where most people are pro-life, and that's significant, right? You can get the procedure only in a medical emergency and in other cases for rape and incest. So this is one of those issues where, like, everybody really is being given half a loaf, whichever side of the issue you're on. And Trump's clearly seen this as a political opportunity to say, look, I know everyone's unhappy, but we're going to leave this to the states. This is democracy. This is how this works out. And I think for most voters in this election, who, as I say, most voters are not single-issue voters on the life issue, most were satisfied with that and thought, yep, that's fair enough. And of course, people can vote with their feet, and if they really hate their state's pro-life laws, they can always move to a more pro-choice state.
Yeah, but a lot of states, too, that went for Trump also passed abortion members. Like in Missouri, they passed Proposition 3, which allows abortion up to 24 weeks. So states have been moving on this. Do you think that this is going to continue to be an issue, though, say for the midterms and again in 2028? Is it ever going to go away?
Yeah, it's not going to go away. I mean, I think what you've noticed is that there's been a change in strategy on the pro-life side. So, for instance, if you take Nebraska, which didn't go the full hog, didn't say we're going to ban abortion in all cases. They had a 12-week limit, and that was actually successful. And I think what we've learned here from these ballot referenda is if you give the American people the choice between a completely abortion maximalist policy, which is that you can have an abortion for any reason all 9 months, it's guaranteed, versus you can have no abortion ever except for a medical emergency, they will choose the pro-choice extreme position, not the pro-life extreme position. And so obviously I think people are going to have to learn how to strategize in a way that people will respond to and people will find persuasive. And we're already seeing that. I mean, I think the fact that Florida has this 6-week limit, but then it also does have exceptions later in pregnancy. It's a 15-week limit for various exceptions. That is the way to go, is to be incrementalist on the issue instead of absolutist.
Madeline Kearns, Associate Editor at the Free Press. Madeline, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. Congratulations to President-elect Trump, the most unlikely figure in American history in many a generation, and one who will be fascinating biographers and historians for decades and decades to come. If you are shocked, blame legacy media and the deeply dysfunctional blue bubble, which Team Trump should absolutely ignore. Wednesday morning, indeed, was Morning in America again. The sense of relief concerning our national security is immense for me, and I'm sure for many of you. I hope that President Trump's second inaugural draws heavily from President Lincoln's first, especially these lines, quote, "We are not enemies but friends. We must not be enemies. Though passions may have strained, it must not break our bonds of affection, the mystic cords of memory stretching from every battlefield and patriot grave to every living heart and hearthstone all over this broad land will yet swell the chorus of the Union when again touched, as surely they will be, by the better angels of our nature."
Come on with this, people. Move it!
Did you really think you could make that company deliver yourself?
Oh, I cannot handle any more traffic.
You could be getting much more done at your place of business.
I've wasted 45 minutes and now this place is gonna close.
Time is money. Let Quick Delivery Service take on the traffic hassle for you. They'll deliver almost anything, from large pallets of materials to important documents, or both. No forms, no labels, no scanning. Just tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going, they'll pick it up, and get it to your destination quickly. Your cargo delivery is tracked in real time with GPS. Notifications are delivered right to your inbox. Visit QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. Or you can deliver like this.
Seriously, another train?
Or get your delivery there on time with QuickDelivery.com. Or call 847-534-2244. 847-534-2244.
Dan Proft here from my friends at Low T Center. If you're frequently tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait, find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's a simple test, and with their on-site lab, you get your results back right there. Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office. Their physicians specialize in treating low T with testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have more than a decade of experience helping patients, and this is super important, their personal treatment plans are optimized for each patient. These aren't just your basic standard treatments. For established patients, they also offer a convenient physician-monitored at-home treatment plan that ships directly to your home each month without the need to come in for weekly visit. And at Low T Center, you can get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today and do that. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you. You've watched the news. Rising crime has been affecting our everyday lives in Illinois more and more these days. Blue Star Security can protect you, your business, or your place of worship. Blue Star Security is the only security company in Chicago with over 900 off-duty police officers, all W-2 employees.
I'm Jeffrey Salvetti, Vice President of Blue Star Security and a 15-year law enforcement veteran. The Blue Star team is made up of over 900 state-certified active and retired law enforcement professionals. We serve businesses and private organizations with supply chain and special event security, and also protect our loved ones at places of worship and schools all across the Chicagoland area. Blue Star Security's technology allows mobilization of off-duty officers quickly and efficiently. Our primary mission is to provide unparalleled protective services for each assignment with integrity while maintaining our commitment to community service in the Chicagoland area.
Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at bluestarsecurityllc.com. That's bluestarsecurityllc.com.
Is it happening again? You're waking up with chronic joint pain due to arthritis or maybe an injury. Well, you don't have to live like this, so stop what you're doing and listen. You deserve a life of comfort and ease with no surgery and no meds. And if you're a good candidate for these new treatments, QC Kinetics can get you there. They're the nation's leader in regenerative cellular treatments for joint pain, led by Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup. He's a pioneer in this technology that's giving people like you an option other than surgery. Folks, it's an all-natural approach that harnesses your own body's healing properties to treat the root cause of your arthritic pain or pain due to an injury. Everybody's talking about it. It's the thing right now. QC Kinetics joint pain treatments are life-changing for so many people. Tens of thousands of satisfied patients with more every day. Yes, you can have real, lasting relief from chronic joint pain without drugs, without surgery, without downtime. Because you know what? We all know somebody who got a knee or hip replacement and it didn't work. They're still in pain. So the consultation's free with Saturday appointments available. You have nothing to lose. Just call the number. They'll walk you through the process, explain how it works. It is fascinating. I've been to one of their offices. I believe it was in Oak Brook. Met some QC Kinetics patients who are over the moon, thrilled with this. And also, you see how it works. So find out for yourself. Free consultation. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. QC Kinetics. Call them today, 312-809-5955.
I love giving jewelry as a gift. Roland's Jewelers is the perfect place for that magical holiday gift. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. Roland's Jewelers is the absolute perfect place for the magical holiday gift for someone you love. Buying jewelry is about trust. Roland's is the jeweler I trust. I'm a customer, and I'm always amazed by their 5-star Google reviews, so many of them. But why not? They're the best. They're family-owned. Hey, getting engaged? Roland's has a large selection of mined and lab-grown diamonds at great prices. Choose from beautifully crafted engagement rings from designer Simon G. or Italian designer Roberto Coin, offering stunning diamond pendants and earrings. How about a Tag Heuer watch with cutting-edge technology? I love mine from Roland's. I continue to be impressed at how expertly trained their staff is. Visit Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville or RolandsJewelers.com. That's Roland's, ROLLANDS, Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust, just like I do.
At Balance of Nature, the quality of our products always starts with TLC, tender, loving care. We start by ensuring that only the finest fruit and vegetable ingredients are selected for our supplements. We put our ingredients through an advanced vacuum cold process that removes their moisture. Then they're ground up into a fine powder, encapsulated, and voila! Our fruits and veggies supplements are made just for you with love. And our commitment to care doesn't end there. Our customer care team is here to provide assistance, ensuring that you have the support and guidance you need. It's the tender, loving care you can see, smell, taste, and feel with every delivery. Celebrate this season with Black Friday savings all month long. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 50% off your first preferred set. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive Black Friday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Would you go to court without a lawyer when the other guy is lawyered up? Or are you going to go it alone and learn law and procedure as you go? When you have an insurance claim for your home or business, it's the same thing.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company.
Insurance companies will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them. Not you.
If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%, and we could do the same for you. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
In places like Michigan and Minnesota, Democrat legislators were punished for their leftward lurch. In Illinois, hey, we got a new casino in East Hazelcrest. That's good enough. We'll start there with Ted Dabrowski, President Wirepoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related, 737.
And that line was long yesterday to get in. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
46 degrees at 7:32. Police in China say 35 were killed, 43 injured when a driver rammed his car into people exercising at a sports center. It's not immediately clear what motivated that attack. A judge is due to decide whether to undo President-elect Donald Trump's conviction in a hush money case because of a U.S. Supreme Court ruling on presidential immunity. Meantime, President-elect Trump is reportedly set to tap Florida Senator Marco Rubio for the job of Secretary of State. More anti-Semitic violence being reported in Amsterdam, 4 days after Israeli Jewish soccer fans were attacked. Following an international match, Dutch authorities say rioters shouted new vulgarities at Jews while lighting and throwing fireworks at them. A man found guilty but mentally ill in the killing of an Illinois child welfare worker at a home outside Springfield will spend the rest of his life behind bars. Benjamin Reed was sentenced to 100 years in prison for the murder of Deidre Silas in January of 2022. A guilty verdict returned by the jury in the Delphi, Indiana murder case of Richard Allen. Allen pleaded not guilty to the 2017 killings of 13-year-old Abby Williams and 14-year-old Libby German. Monday's verdict comes after a 4-week trial. Hillcrest High School shooting in Country Club Hills left a parent dead Saturday. Now a car is wanted in connection with the killing. Police are looking for a black Infiniti Q50 with a fake license plate.
Very shocked because it's a middle school game, so the fact that something like that would happen, at a child's game was really heartbreaking.
There were police at that middle school basketball tournament, and there's no evidence the suspects entered the building looking for 41-year-old Shamari Siller of Chicago, who was shot outside of the building. And U.S. Senator Dick Durbin is still deciding whether he will run for re-election in 2026. The Illinois Democrat says results of last week's election are playing a big role in that decision. Bulls lost to Cleveland 119-113. College hoops, Notre Dame a win. Northwestern takes on UIC tonight, and DePaul beat Mercer last night. The news, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, it's possible you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify. Almostfreeteeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Would you like to have your mortgage or rent paid for all of 2025? That sounds like a Christmas miracle, doesn't it? Well, that's exactly what AM 560 The Answer wants to do for you. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle to enter our Christmas Mortgage Miracle Contest presented by Team Hochberg. Enter once per day, every day between now and December 20th, and you could have your rent or mortgage paid for all of next year. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle.
It's Reveille.
Longtime listeners should know that reveille is sounded to assemble the troops before first call is played to start the day. Combined, they are a wake-up call in the military. Well, last week, a reveille sounded in America that pierced through the noise of celebrity rallies, commercials, and leftist media diatribes against Trump. Americans from every walk of life sent a wake-up call to the elitists. We want America First policies, and we refuse to be ruled by people who think they are our betters. Trump improved in every demographic. Blacks, Hispanics, young women, millennials all moved further right, giving Trump the popular vote and a mandate. Blue state governors are worried. The governors from New York, California, and Illinois held pressers vowing to fight to protect abortion rights, workers' rights, trans rights, and those here illegally. They well understand that the federal government largesse that they rely on to balance their budgets is in jeopardy if they refuse to play ball with the new Trump administration. In 1984, the federal government changed the drinking age to 21 across the nation and threatened the withholding of 10% of highway transportation funds from states who did not comply. South Dakota challenged the law, and the U.S. Supreme Court sided with the federal government. So states who want to preserve sanctuary state policies, DEI policies, or attempt to thwart duly passed laws on the right to work and voter ID, for example, could find themselves faced with both lawsuits and a loss of money. How important is federal money to states? Well, J.B. Pritzker may need to be reminded that at the outset of COVID, his Senate president asked for $41 billion from the federal government. And then Illinois was the only state to borrow from a COVID fund to make ends meet. I'm Jeannie Ives. Check out The Real Story with me Sunday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed. Our video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
7:38 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. It's an hour 25 on the inbound Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. It's an hour 10 on the Ike-in from 390 to the old post office. Still cleaning up along I-55. On the northbound side between Weber Road and Joliet Road, an overturned semi from several hours ago still has 2 left lanes blocked. Crews are trying to upright that trailer right now, and there is a fuel spill being dealt with as well. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. A breezy morning. Clouds break for a bit of sun this afternoon and a high near 50. 46 right now. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Scott Tucker Solutions and his show Retirement Decoded. Sunday mornings at 8. Learn more at scotttuckersolutions.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. That's theme music. Means it's time for a weekly conversation with Ted Dabrowski, president of wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. In Minnesota in 2022, after Governor Field Marshal Tim Walz was reelected, he and his fellow travelers raised taxes, redistributed income, made Minnesota a trans refuge.
Big celebrations for that, too, remember?
1% surcharge on investment income over $1 million. New family and medical leave entitlement financed by a 0.88% increase in the payroll tax. Raised the top marginal rate in the state of Minnesota to 10.85% on investment income and 10.73% on wages, which is among the highest in the country. And last week, Tuesday, they lost 3 seats in the House, resulting in the House being evenly split 67-67. Wow, Minnesota 67-67. A liberal state like Minnesota 67-67. What's Illinois in the House? 78-40. But in Minnesota now, Democrats can't raise taxes willy-nilly. In Michigan, you have the same sort of lurch left, replacing the state's right to work law. Republicans flipped the state house in Michigan. Republicans now control the state house in Michigan, despite being outspent in races by nearly 4-1. Oh, money's not the only issue. Interesting. In fact, the GOP picked up a seat in the UP that Democrats had held for more than 70 years. In Vermont, that's the home of Bernie Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
Republicans flipped 17 seats in the House and 6 in the state Senate, the most in at least 30 years, to end Democrats' supermajority there. In Illinois, as I said, the big news is that new casino in East Hazelcrest opened.
That's going to solve all the problems in the world.
Exactly right.
Tables are open from 8 o'clock at night or it was 8 a.m. in the morning to 4 a.m.
Until they get their 24/7 go ahead. But, I mean, that's the key. I mean, we're going to gamble our way to prosperity. It doesn't matter what the distribution in the state legislature is, the General Assembly here, 78-40, 40-19. It doesn't matter that it didn't move, even though Trump shaved his margin of defeat in Illinois by a full 8 points, 2020 to 2024. Just everybody declare victory. We're very proud of holding on to our 40 seats. We're very proud of holding on to our 70 seats. The Republican Party at the state level here is like the Chicago public school system. You could spend $10 billion or you can spend nothing and the results would be the same. For more on this, please be joined now by Ted. Ted, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy.
Not much of a balance of power change here. Did you see anything electorally that gives you any hope for Illinois' tomorrow?
Certainly not in terms of the state house, right? I mean, when we didn't pick up a seat, despite that big move in support for Trump, and that's despite all the attacks that Trump had against him from the media, from Pritzker, right? I mean, the opposition to Trump has been so strong here, maybe stronger than anywhere else in the country, and yet he was able to pick up all those votes and pick up share. But for that to not translate into anything positive at the state house level is I guess it's a real indictment of the Republican Party. When you just mentioned what happened in Vermont or Michigan or Minnesota, they're still right 50-50 in Minnesota. That means their party's still viable. Ours has lost its brand. It has no brand anymore, and that needs to be rebuilt.
Well, is that because
there is no donor alignment? There is no plan for top of the ticket. There's no real plan for candidates. So let's just put it this way: it's a big opportunity, Dan.
I'm sure you've heard that before. He's laughing. He laughs.
Things are so bad. Right, things are so bad, and they're getting worse. And boy, all I see is opportunity as far as my eye can see.
Did the Illinois Republican Party, did they help these candidates? I mean, did they do anything financially to help them and promote them, or did they handpick them? How did it work?
Well, I mean, yes, they help, and I think there's a lot of people out there with good initiative, right? But there's debates about whether one candidate should have been supported more than the other. There's a lot less money, and I agree with Dan. It's not about the money. I mean, money helps everything else equal, but it doesn't help if your brand is wrong and you don't have the right candidates and you don't have a plan. And basically, there is no plan because if you think about it, you try to think about what is the Republican brand in Illinois. What do they stand for? It's kind of hard. You don't hear it, you don't feel it, you don't see it.
I mean, there was all these lurches. I mean, to the point of comparing ourselves to our Midwestern neighbors there in Michigan, Minnesota. There was all the same leftward lurch here, obviously under Jelly Belly, and you couldn't see your way fit to detail the impacts of Pritzker's purge law in a public safety election and a law and order election. You can't see your way fit to talk about the costs of living here while he is spending $500 million to underwrite a Chinese communist-backed EV battery plant in Manteno. I mean, you can't figure out a way to localize the national dynamics that are driving people out and informing their votes. This is so basic, but there is no courage here. And now in the General Assembly that is to come, and maybe they'll start kicking this around, all those noblemen and magistrates in Springfield start kicking this around in veto session, which kicks off today. Maybe but based on the support for that millionaire surcharge at the advisory referendum level on Tuesday, I suppose they'll pick that up and move that along, or attempt to, come January, right?
Oh, they definitely will. I mean, they have to, and we just wrote about it today. But Pritzker's put out his 5-year forecast for the next 5 years. It's $23 billion deficits in total over the 5 years. Now, you can either look at that as a ploy to just pump up the numbers negatively so he can get his progressive tax passed, or you can say, man, that guy wants to keep spending money so badly that he's going to need that progressive tax, and the voters just told him that they're happy with the progressive tax, so let's go do it. So that's what's bad. And I just want to make a point about Republicans making the case. I mean, if you think about it, if you were to choose your opponent, you would want to have an opponent that you're running against that has one of the worst crime records in the country. Certainly, can't stop murders, the worst murder capital in the country, has the highest tax rates and properties, has the highest out-migration rates. The kids can't read. I mean, this would be the ideal candidate for you to run against because they have so many weaknesses. And yet we can't figure out how to exploit that. And in theory, it should be easy, but if there's not a plan around it and a set of principles around which you want to run those campaigns, then it's really hard to win.
Well, I mean, and you get the leadership that you select. So the leaders, McCombie in the House and Curran in the Senate, the rank and file, that's who they selected. So this is the Republican Party that you've got, and there doesn't seem to be sort of like we're talking about where's the indications there's some revolt happening. There's no revolt happening at the local level. There's no revolt happening internally at the state level. So you just have a bunch of people milling about, pretending to be in some sort of opposition to the Jelly Belly agenda when they're really just looking to protect their little piece of turf, which has been the story of the Illinois Republican Party for about the last 25 years, largely has gone unnoticed.
I would take the one positive news out of this, and that's, again, more of a statewide thing, not a legislative thing, but the fact that 45% of people voted for Trump means that they were willing to cross the line.
Exactly. Yeah.
Come out. And number two, the fact that, you've got bigger margins in Cook County and Chicago. So, that lets you know that you can still win a statewide race. So the governorship is out there to be had, and a couple of the others. It's out there. But of course, the predicate to that is having leadership and a plan and a brand. So we're missing those other things, but it's out there.
Well, it was really interesting last week at City Club. There's the City Club where state and city workers come to have a family-style lunch at Maggiano's while listening to one of their fellow apparatchiks. So the panel, the post-election panel, was Brandon Johnson's chief of staff, non-binary, housebroken Republican from the suburbs, Greg Hart, doesn't know what his positions are on anything, lost to Deb Conroy for DuPage County Board, part of the sort of Republican that is the explanation for why DuPage County is a deep blue county now. And Ann Caprara. Ann Caprara, for those of you who don't know, because why would you, is Jelly Belly's chief of staff. And, there's a lot of hand-wringing and, sorrowful reviews of what happened at the federal level and so forth. Of course, all that pro forma stuff. But something Ann Caprara said there is really indicative of the culture here. And if you don't want to present an alternative path for the state, an alternative vision for what the political culture should be here, well,
I have a religion. It's this democracy, and it's this government. And for 24 years of my life, I've been working to make this place a better place, to try to temper my rage at times with hope, which is a hard thing I'm trying to do. And I look at her and feel this has been hard, because over the last 8 years, I've watched two accomplished, brilliant women. So if you put gender aside and said, give me a list of what you want in the president, they ticked every box. They did everything perfectly. They showed up. They weren't too emotional.
The typical two brilliant women over the last 8 years who were sidelined. So they're still happy to play identity politics because they have been punished for it the way Democrats have been nationally. But the thing that she said at the outset is the most important point. I have a religion. It's this government.
Oof.
That should replace Land of Lincoln as the motto of the state. I have this religion. It's government.
That's scary stuff, and it kind of tells you what, if you look at Pritzker's comments, after Trump won, and his whole warrior thing about
you come for my people, you come through me.
Exactly, and he did exactly that. He's the government that's going to take care of all these aggrieved people, all these threatened people. He names them one by one: AAPI, LGBTQ, Black, Brown, first generationers, the disabled. He's making sure that he calls out each aggrieved group, and that that they're at risk, but he, the government, will protect them. He will keep them safe, and that's just sounds like she's saying the same thing.
Right, and these dullards in the Republican Party think like the path back to relevance is a fair map. They think it's a mechanical problem. There's no. They're as unreflective as what you're seeing from the Democrats at the national level now. It has nothing to do with what we're doing or not doing. It just has everything to do with somehow, the system is just rigged against us, and there's no way we can win. It's. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say, but I mean, there's no, outside of wire points. Where is even the thought leadership, even for those who are not aspiring to public office? Where's the thought leadership of doing things any differently than Illinois, outside of wire points or this show?
Well, I will tell you this, Dan. It's amazing. So, I'm out there looking for them. I'm out there trying to work with them and trying to bring some together. And I found a couple people, but people are still scared. I mean, I think the Civic Committee and the Civic Federation and these groups still have so much power, and they still believe in working with Brandon Johnson, with Governor Pritzker. What they don't realize is that Brandon Johnson and Governor Pritzker are they just got trashed in the elections, right? Whatever they stand for. But there's still these corporate titans, many of them who could be very powerful if they wanted to be, are still scared, and they still won't stand up.
Well, right. So that's never going to happen, which is why leadership is going to have to come from somewhere else if it's ever going to come. But the question of is it ever going to come seems to me a decidedly open one.
Well, I think it's coming. I think it's coming, Dan, because we're seeing for the first time something, and it's and as much as people hated Trump and all that, there's plenty of people who cross the lines to go to him or to what he stands for, or they hated Harris enough that they went to him, and there's some eyes opening in Illinois for the first time, I think, in a long time, but. Yep. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done to capture that.
Ted Dabrowski, President, WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Ted, thank you as always.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Amy.
And Ted, good Georgia Tech went over Miami. That was fun, huh? Ted? Ted doesn't want to talk football because Ted got off the phone, but it was a great game. And Ted joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Cannot wait to take my Balance of Nature. Why? I just watched that Phil Simms commercial. He's been taking Balance of Nature for a while, and he loves it. 6 capsules provides your body, heart, and mind with several servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables. You'll love it. Your body, mind, and heart will thank you for it. Since I've been taking it, my hair feels thicker, my nails feel stronger. Just love it. And people who take Balance of Nature swear by it, that they have more energy without having to have that afternoon cup of coffee. Justin Kosick is one of those satisfied customers. So be one of the cool kids. Be like Justin and order your bottles of fruits and veggies today. To celebrate this season with Black Friday savings all month long, order your fruits and veggies today by calling this number. And guess what? If you use coupon code Chicago, half off. No longer 35% off, but 50% off your first set and free shipping. The number to call, 800-246-8751. 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago to get 50% off your first set and free shipping when you sign up as a new preferred customer. 800-246-8751. Call now or order online at balanceofnature.com. Use coupon code Chicago to save 50%.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, we'll get the latest handle on the race for Senate Majority Leader. David Drucker from the Dispatch joins us, 8:08.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
The Pitchfork Music Festival abandoning Chicago. Dick Durbin's still deciding whether he wants to run for re-election to Senate. And Northwest Side burglaries are under investigation. Last night, the Bulls fell to the Cavaliers. And tonight, Northwestern hosts UIC. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
Team Trump's coming together. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. A source tells Fox News Digital South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem is expected to be President-elect Trump's Homeland Security Secretary nominee. Florida Senator Marco Rubio is expected to serve as Secretary of State, representing America abroad.
Marco Rubio is in the midst of his third term. Prior to the U.S. Senate, he spent 8 years in the Florida State House of Representatives, 2 of them as that chamber's speaker. He attempted a presidential run in 2016, where he infamously squabbled with then-candidate Donald Trump, though eventually the two found common ground and became fierce allies. Rubio is a long-serving member of the Senate's Foreign Relations and Intelligence Committees. In Broward County, Florida, Eben Brown, Fox News.
In New York City, Judge Juan Merchan is expected to announce today whether he'll throw out President-elect Trump's criminal conviction.
If the judge upholds the verdict, the case would be on track for sentencing on November 26th. A jury convicted the president-elect in May on charges of falsifying business records related to a $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels in 2016. The option to dismiss follows the Supreme Court's ruling that presidents have broad immunity from criminal prosecution.
Fox's Brooks Singman. Democrat Ruben Gallego wins his Arizona Senate race against Republican Kari Lake. There's a forum today for Senate Republicans now taking over the majority to hear from leadership candidates.
Republicans will elect their first new Senate leader since 2007, with current Minority Leader Mitch McConnell stepping down. Current whip and number 2, John Thune, is facing off against Texas Senator John Cornyn and Florida's Rick Scott.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz in Washington. U.S. flights to Haiti could be suspended after 2 planes are hit by gunfire in the air close to the airport in Port-au-Prince. The Federal Aviation Administration could announce a decision on that today. The airport shut down for at least a week. America's listening to Fox News.
.802 on AM 560. The Answer. We have clouds and 46 degrees. A Cook County official in legal hot water, Democrat Board of Review Commissioner Samantha Steele, faces a charge of driving under the influence. Chicago police say the first-term commissioner was arrested after she crashed Sunday night. She's due in court at the end of December. A guilty verdict returned by a jury in a Delphi, Indiana murder case. Richard Allen found guilty in the murders of 2 middle school girls.
After 7 years, Richard Allen was found guilty on all 4 murder charges. And this all stems from those 2017 killings of Abby Williams and her friend Libby German.
Monday's verdict comes after a 4-week trial. A Hillcrest High School shooting in Country Club Hills left a parent dead on Saturday. A car wanted in connection with the killing is been identified. Police are looking for a black Infiniti Q50 with a fake license plate.
People are coming in the South Suburbs and jumping on the highway and getting away with it. So we have to do something to secure our area.
41-year-old Char-Marie Siller of Chicago was at Hillcrest High School on Saturday watching his son's junior high basketball team. Police believe the suspects did not go inside. Instead, they laid in wait in a back parking lot before blocking in the parents' car and opening fire. Bulls lost to the Cavaliers 119-113. College hoops last night. Notre Dame beat Buffalo. Also last night, DePaul over Mercer. Tonight, Northwestern takes on UIC. The news, a service of Turnkey.pro. For less than the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support. Protect your small business today. Visit turnkey.pro today. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. And now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Home Depot CEO Ted Decker says its shoppers are spending more on seasonal goods and some outdoor projects. The home improvement retailer is raising its forecast for the year. The number of transactions held steady in the summer quarter, though customers are spending slightly less. Earnings and revenue came in better than expected. Home Depot's raising expectations for the year. You'll be able to shop early at Target on Black Friday. Target says the day after Thanksgiving, it will open at 6 a.m. and remain open until midnight. Following Black Friday, Target's holiday shopping hours will be 7 a.m. to midnight. Wall Street bonuses are expected to increase industry-wide this year, anywhere from 15 to 35% over last year. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
We have so much to be thankful for this year. Our family, our friends, our nation. And it's important that we take the opportunity to give thanks for the many blessings in our lives. That's why AM 560, The Answer, wants to make sure you have a turkey on your table for Thanksgiving this year. We're giving away Butterball turkeys. To enter to win, just go to 560theanswer.com/turkey. That's 560theanswer.com/turkey.
Let's get real. Did you wake up this morning with joint pain? Does it hurt doing the most routine activities? Have they told you it's time for knee or hip replacement surgery? Hi, it's Amy Jacobson, and stop what you're doing and listen. You deserve a life of comfort and ease with no surgery and no meds. And if you're a good candidate for these new treatments, QC Kinetics can get you there. Folks, it's an all-natural approach that harnesses your body's own healing properties to treat the root cause of your arthritic pain. Tens of thousands of satisfied patients with more every day. Yes, you can have real lasting relief from chronic joint pain without drugs, without surgery, without downtime. Learn about all of your options at QC Kinetics. The consultation is free with Saturday appointments available. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. QC Kinetics. Call 312-809-5955.
At Balance of Nature, the quality of our products always starts with TLC, tender, loving care. We start by ensuring that only the finest fruit and vegetable ingredients are selected for our supplements. We put our ingredients through an advanced vacuum cold process that removes their moisture. Then they're ground up into a fine powder, encapsulated, and voila! Our fruits and veggies supplements are made just for you with love. And our commitment to care doesn't end there. Our customer care team is here to provide assistance, ensuring that you have the support and guidance you need. It's the tender, loving care you can see, smell, taste, and feel with every delivery. Celebrate this season with Black Friday savings all month long. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 50% off your first preferred set. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive Black Friday offer by using discount code Chicago.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation welcomed U.S. Army Specialist Brent Menard into a new mortgage-free smart home in Florida. Now, while on a road clearance mission in Afghanistan, Brent's vehicle was blown up by an improvised explosive device. Brent became a T4 paraplegic. Tunnel to Towers built him a specially adapted smart home that allows severely injured heroes like Brett to live more independently. We hope you'll donate $11 a month so this great work can continue. Just go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Terry's Tiny Homes, Terry! Sure, as the only employee of her company, Terry was probably the front runner, but saving money getting personalized discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive, well, that gave Terry the edge. Over Terry.
Terry, Terry.
Keep awkwardly chanting your own name, Terry. You deserve it. Woo! Be your own Terry. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
It's 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. The Edens, 20 minutes, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The reverse trip, almost 30 minutes between the junction and Lake Cook Road. 80 minutes, an hour 20, inbound Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. They're still riding an overturned semi on northbound 55 between Weber Road and Joliet Road, where 2 left lanes are blocked. Slow traffic northbound on the Ike between Ogden and the northbound on 294, the tri-state, between Ogden and the Eisenhower Expressway. Bartlett, an accident with injuries, Bartlett Road and Lake Street. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Clouds and breezy this morning, followed by some breaks of sun for the afternoon. The high today 50. Clear early tonight, then increasing cloudiness, low 39. Clouds and breezy, shower for late afternoon tomorrow, the high at 54. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently, we have 46. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the race for Senate Majority Leader, this is consequential. And the divide is pretty stark between the Rick Scott camp and the Thune Cornyn camp. I'll call that a combo. It seems like, at least according to the betting markets, it's Thune and Scott. Cornyn probably can't get there and will, but the expectation is that whatever support he's able to generate, he will fold in with Thune at some point in that contest. Rick Scott was on Fox and Friends yesterday pitching his wares, why he should be Senate Majority Leader.
Here's what I bring to the table. I clearly believe in the Trump agenda, number one. I'm a business guy that has success doing exactly what we need to do in the Senate. We need to have a plan. We need to work a plan. We need to have a team. We need to measure ourselves. If we want to get all the nominees done, we've got to figure out a plan to get it done. If we want to get a balanced budget, we got to start today to get a balanced budget. If we want to get the border secure, if we want to get whatever policies we have to get through Congress, we have to have a plan, just like what you do in business. I ran a company with 285,000 employees. We had a written plan for everything to get it done. My colleagues have told me they want change. They want to be treated as equal. They want to be part of a team. They want to have an agenda. They want to have a great relationship with the House. They know I have a great relationship with Speaker Mike Johnson. So I'm very optimistic that I'm going to win because I'm representing Trump's agenda and what my colleagues want.
I always like that. I mean, this is not a criticism of Rick Scott, but just like my colleagues tell me they wanted to be treated equal. I being in politics, I've seen this dynamic between leadership and rank and file in particular caucuses, and so much of the behavior is so immature. It's like, notice me, recognize me, pay attention to me, and so on and so forth. And it's usually from the people that are the least consequential in the caucus. Anyway, just a little digression, because I love that. I'm an equal. It's very sort of Barbara Boxer. Please call me Senator. I've worked so hard. Anyway, John Kennedy, Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana, was also on Fox yesterday talking about this contest and had this to say.
We haven't even had a meeting yet to hear the formal proposals from the three nominees about how, if at all, they will run things differently than Senator McConnell. Here's what I know. We will pick a leader who will advance President Trump's agenda.
For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by David Drucker, senior writer for The Dispatch and author of In Trump's Shadow, The Battle for 2024 and the Future of the GOP. That battle has been waged. David Drucker, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. Good to be here.
So I know at least Thune has made sort of an overture of, we need to come together to move Trump's agenda and so on and so forth, to try to distance himself from some comments in the past that have been critical of Trump or suspicious about his chances to win in 2024. Cornyn has made similar comments. But to Kennedy's point, if the caucus is going to pick a leader that will advance Trump's policy agenda, is Rick Scott the only person they can pick?
I don't think so. But this is what they're going to sort out. I would keep in mind that this is a secret ballot, closed door election. This is not like the House of Representatives where everybody has to stand up on the floor of the chamber and announce their vote publicly. Right? And this is only a vote of Republicans. This is not a vote of Republicans and Democrats. I mean, both sides in the House always stick to their person. But just to give you an idea of the dynamic here, so people can say publicly anything they want. As senators running for leadership posts in the past have learned, because it's a secret ballot election, the only vote you can count on when you're talking to individual senators, colleagues asking for support, is when they tell you they're not going to vote for you. Because if they tell you they are, it doesn't really mean that much. That's number one. Number two, it's unclear exactly how this is going to play out, because the senators could be looking at this in a number of ways. To begin with, they want someone who is going to take tough votes for them, shield them from problems, raise a lot of money, and advance their interests. Part of the problem with coming together behind a single agenda in the Senate, and I don't mean this about Trump's agenda, that's different, but about coming up with a plan, is that, as one very conservative Trump-supporting senator once told me, you find a plan that I can get behind and Susan Collins can get behind, and sure, Let's do a unified plan.
Right.
Otherwise, these senators all consider themselves their own CEO, and they want to go about however they're going to get to yes or no in their own way. And successful Senate leaders, whether Democrat or Republicans, in terms of the leaders that get support and are able to stay in their position, the successful ones are the ones that do a lot of listening and allow these senators to come to their own conclusions in particular ways. Trump is going to have a lot of sway, at least in the first year, not the first 2 years. You don't need a Senate Republican leader to gin up support for Trump and his agenda, because he's doing that all on his own. So what they're going to be looking at here is, how do I want to be managed? Who do I want calling the shots on the floor in terms of what legislation gets to the floor and what doesn't, how the committees are handled? And that's a separate question from Trump, which that's a voter question. But these voters are not normal voters. They're U.S. senators.
But I think the concern is not that that Trump's agenda will not be. Let me put it a different way. The concern is that some of these guys, Thune and Cornyn in particular, could turn out to be impediments to Trump's agenda.
Yeah, I just don't think that's, well, anything is possible. I don't think that the senators in the Republican conference are going to look at that as an issue, because the immediate agenda is tightening the border, deporting criminal aliens, cutting taxes, cutting regulations. The initial issues that we're going to see are going to be things with a broad base of support. And again,
right, but I mean,
they look at themselves. They don't. They're not necessarily picking a leader to advance Trump's agenda, because to them it's a given. They're looking for a leader that will help advance them to their next reelection, and that doesn't mean Scott cannot win. I'm just saying stylistically, the way they look at it is different than the discussion you and I often have about what voters want.
No, I understand, but there's a, it's easy to say the first items on the agenda, things like the deportation of criminals and so forth. But once you start to move down the road, particularly if you move down the road in legislative form, I mean, you have some people that were on board with that bipartisan quote unquote immigration reform legislation from last term, and there's going to be some very different positions and very different tolerances for controversy when it comes to getting into the nuances of immigration reform, being demagogued on family separation, for example, and who is willing to stand fast the way that Tom Homan does. Those dynamics matter.
All of that. Yeah, they do, but that kind of legislation takes 60 votes, and you're not going to have 60 votes because Democrats are not going to join in. So that's kind of irrelevant. Unless Trump cuts a deal with Schumer that can bring up enough Democrats on board, it's not happening anyway. The reason the tax legislation is so relevant here is because via this process we call reconciliation,
right,
tax legislation isn't subject to a 60-vote filibuster or any filibuster, and therefore Republicans can get this done as long as they don't squabble among themselves.
So who do you think Trump is going to back for Senate Majority Leader?
Well, the question is, does he back anybody publicly or not? I think with Tucker Carlson and Elon Musk and others in that circle coming out for Scott, I think that's an indication of Trump's preferences. The question is whether he decides to get involved in a very public way. I don't have reporting insight, but of course, if you look at how his endorsement of Jim Jordan did not help Jim Jordan get across the finish line in this race for House Speaker last year, he might be hesitant to get involved publicly in case this does not go his way, because it's really unnecessary for him to spend political capital on this. Both Thune and Cornyn are saying that they're open to some of the procedural changes that Trump wants, and that they're not really hostile to any of the top line agenda items. And so I don't know if Trump needs to do anything more than signal, this is what I expect. I'd also take a look at the idea that if it isn't Rick Scott, that John Cornyn could actually muscle his way to the number one spot, because he's up for re-election in 2026. He's going to have a Republican primary, or at least could be more sort of amenable to bending to Trump's will than somebody like John Thune.
No, that's an interesting aspect of it, sure. The cabinet that's taking shape, any surprises to you, people that are potentially, if not curious fits, maybe they weren't the most talented, capable, experienced picks Trump could have made from Trump world for those posts?
Well, listen, Trump likes loyalists and he likes converts. Mike Waltz as the National Security Advisor, Marco Rubio as the Secretary of State, Elise Stefanik as the UN Ambassador. These are all people who come from the sort of Reaganite portion of the coalition, but have long since become Trump loyalists and converts. And I think Trump likes that more than he likes a true believer. And ultimately, Trump talks to a wide variety of people. Don Jr., J.D. Vance, Tucker Carlson, they're all going to be whispering into Trump's ear on foreign policy matters. And, I'm weird this way, but I don't always really think that personnel means policy because the president ultimately has to decide. And although Rubio and Waltz, they don't really buttress Trump's natural instincts and opinions on foreign policy, I don't think it matters all that much because, Trump is going to do what he wants and he's going to be surrounded by people who do agree with him. And look, one key change in the West Wing is instead of having Mike Pence in the chair talking to him about what he's doing, it's going to be J.D. Vance who, if we're looking at what Trumpism means, is probably more Trumpy than Trump in certain aspects.
The D.C. Press Corps response and the people that they amplify on their programs and in their periodicals and so forth, essentially the position was that the election result was not an indictment of Kamala Harris, it was an indictment of America. Do you expect that to change very much in the near term?
Well, listen, I've read various things in the press. I think for those of us who cover campaigns and understand politics, what we've been writing is that she made a number of mistakes, but also she was attached to an administration that voters found, either unresponsive or not responsive enough to their concerns about inflation and public safety. And you look at the history of American elections, when people can't afford to eat and they fear for their own safety or their family's safety, they're usually not going to re-up the incumbent party, let alone the incumbent. And Harris essentially functioned as the incumbent here as the sitting vice president. And there are many threads to look at in this election with the shift toward Trump among Hispanics and young men, black men, and all of that to make it a rather remarkable result. But ultimately, politics is usually pretty simple. And I think it's as simple as people saying, I'm going to go with the guy who, when he was president, other than that one weird year of the pandemic, I could afford things and I felt safe.
Real quick, I just want to go quickly back to cabinet positions. What are your thoughts on the possibility of Governor Kristi Noem as Homeland Security Director?
Again, the question will be whether she can manage the agency, but this all starts at the top. If there's anything, Trump can often be transactional, but if there's anything he believes, it's on trade and then on things like securing the border and stopping illegal immigration. And so it's really more important to me what Trump thinks, because Noem is going to have to do what Trump thinks. And, I don't think we've seen anything in her background that suggests she would fight Trump on this, but especially Trump having been through this once before, you're going to see most policy on issues Trump cares about come from the West Wing, and the agencies are simply going to be sort of operational appendages and not making their own decisions. And so that's how I look at most of these cabinet appointments.
David Drucker, senior writer for The Dispatch, author of In Trump's Shadow, The Battle for 2024 and the Future of the GOP. David, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auctions. Here's a fact. Extra cash is a really good thing right now. Here's another fact. There has never been a better market for antique items than right now. Donnelly Auctions wants everything you have when it comes to antique collections. Their worldwide audience is waiting to give you top dollar for them. Call them at 815-923-7000. If you have a weapon of any kind, any military items, they are in desperate need of military items and guns, as they are a state and federal licensed arms dealer. So you don't have to worry about any of the nonsense they can go with other auction sites. Give them a call, 815-923-7000, or go to DonnellyAuctions.com. If you have classic cars, old signs, coin-operated machines, the list is crazy long of the items they want to help you sell. If somebody has passed away and you have estate items, antiques, they are in desperate need. Just call 815-923-7000. They're waiting for your call now.
All right. Is a member of your family heading to college soon? Paying for college and avoiding long-term student loan debt has never been more challenging. But attorney Ray Kaplan at Kaplan Law is here to help you and your family make informed decisions and plan smarter for college by navigating and understanding all available student loan options. And trust me, there are a lot out there. So don't go it alone. Set up your family for financial success. Plan college expenses together with attorney Ray Kaplan at Kaplan Law Firm. Schedule a consultation today. Call 312-294-8989. That's 312-294-8989, or fill out the contact form online at financialrelief.com. That's financialrelief.com. Are you looking for a trustworthy garage to keep your Dodge Ram 45 or 5500 Cummins engine in tip-top shape? Look no further than Remke's Garage in Marengo. At Remke's Garage, their experienced team treats every car like it's their own. Plus, they believe in transparency, no surprises, just honest service and fair pricing. Check out the incredible reviews that satisfied customers have left on Google as they speak for themselves. With state-of-the-art equipment and a commitment to quality, they're proud to be your local choice for automotive care. And here's the best part, they offer free pickup and drop-off for your convenience. Both individually owned and fleet vehicle programs available to meet your needs. So why wait? Swing by Remke's Garage today and let them get you back on the road with confidence. Visit Remke'sGarage.com. Remke's Garage, repairing America.
Dan Proft here from my friends at Low T Center. If you're frequently tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait, find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's a simple test, and with their on-site lab, you'll get your results back right there. Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office. Their physicians specialize in treating low T with testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have more than a decade of experience helping patients, and this is super important, their personal treatment plans are optimized for each patient. They are not just basic standard treatments. For established patients, they also offer a convenient physician-monitored at-home treatment plan that ships directly to your home each month, so there's no need to come in for weekly visits. And at Low T Center, you can get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com today to book your appointment. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
At Balance of Nature, the quality of our products always starts with TLC, tender, loving care. We start by ensuring that only the finest fruit and vegetable ingredients are selected for our supplements. We put our ingredients through an advanced vacuum cold process that removes their moisture. Then they're ground up into a fine powder, encapsulated, and voila! Our fruits and veggies supplements are made just for you with love. And our commitment to care doesn't end there. Our customer care team is here to provide assistance, ensuring that you have the support and guidance you need. It's the tender, loving care you can see, smell, taste, and feel with every delivery. Celebrate this season with Black Friday savings all month long. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 50% off your first preferred set. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive Black Friday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Where the white women at? Joy Reid wants to know. We'll talk about the rage against the white women who did not vote for Kamala with Joanna Williams from Spiked at 8:38.
And Oprah says it wasn't me. We'll explain, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Rumblings from Hallis Hall this morning, a big firing. We will tell you about that in just a moment. But first, we're looking to China, where a driver is killed 35 and injured another 43 severely when he deliberately rammed his car into people exercising at a sports center in the southern part of that country. President-elect Trump announcing picks for his cabinet at Wednesday's meeting at the White House with President Biden approaching. President-elect Trump chose Florida Senator Marco Rubio as his Secretary of State. A Spirit Airlines plane and a JetBlue plane flying into Haiti were each hit by gunfire on Monday. As a result, the two carriers, along with American, are suspending flights. Boeing plans to cut 17,000 jobs, about 10% of its workforce. Boeing's CEO says safety issues and congressional hearings have led to losses of around $25 billion. Well, it is confirmed by NFL.com. 3 consecutive losses featuring mounting problems on offense, and the Bears have made a change, firing offensive coordinator Shane Waldron 9 games into his first season with the team. NFL Network has confirmed per sources Thomas Brown, the Bears' offensive passing game coordinator, is expected to be elevated to offensive coordinator. A Cook County official is in legal hot water. Democrat Board of Review Commissioner Samantha Steele faces a charge of driving under the influence. She's due back in court December 27th. Hawthorne Woods police say they recovered a body from the ruins of a weekend house fire. Authorities say the remains were discovered in the debris on Sunday. The dead person has yet to be identified. A driver hurt following a crash at a shopping mall in suburban Norridge. Police say a person drove through a guardrail at a parking garage at Harlem Irving Plaza. The vehicle landed on its roof. The driver had to be extricated. Police say she was spared major injury by her seatbelt. And University of Chicago police continue investigating after 2 students were robbed at gunpoint on the city's Hyde Park campus early yesterday. Bulls lost to the Cavaliers 119-113. College hoops last night. Notre Dame a win over Buffalo. DePaul beat Mercer tonight. Northwestern will host UIC. The news, a service of Quick Delivery Service. Make Quick Delivery Service your personal ground crew anytime, anywhere, any place. When you need to move your shipment or freight, Quick Delivery will get it there. Get a quote in advance and eliminate surprises at quickdelivery.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
If you have high blood pressure, listen to this story. Ira was given a grim diagnosis about his blood pressure. His doctor warned it's sky high. If he didn't get it down in 3 weeks, he was going to need surgery. So Ira began exercising, went on medication. But what seemed to be the miracle change, his diet. After thorough research and consulting with a nutritionist friend, Ira concocted a juice from foods that work like natural blood pressure medicines. 2 weeks later, his blood pressure dropped 30 points. What helped save Ira's life, amazed his doctor, is now available to you. Ira and his nutritionist founded 120 Life, a delicious juice and powdered mix with natural ingredients that have shown to lower blood pressure. Try it yourself risk-free with a 2-week trial pack. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now, 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout.
Had a devastating knee injury, tore my ACL, tore my PCL, shredded my medial meniscus, and had an initial surgery. That really didn't hold. Had another follow-up surgery around 8 years later. That didn't work, and I didn't want to undergo another surgical procedure.
Enough with the surgeries. They didn't ease the pain, and recovery was brutal. Carmen heard about another treatment for pain relief, the non-invasive regenerative treatments at QC Kinetics.
I simply figured, heck, I'm going to pick up the phone and call QC Kinetics, and since I've been treated, my quality of life has dramatically gotten better, and I can't thank QC Kinetics enough.
These are the nation's leaders in regenerative medicine. QC Kinetics uses the body's own healing components to help provide relief and functionality.
10 months ago, I had difficulty walking up and down a flight of steps. Now I can do just about anything I desire. I'm back to the old me.
If you have joint pain, before you consider surgery, call QC Kinetics. The consultation is free.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
8:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Lowe's. It's Black Friday build-up at Lowe's. Get up to 50% off select major appliances. Plus, take an additional 10% off when you buy select major appliances. Valid 11/6 through 12/4. Cannot be combined with additional discounts. See Lowe's.com for details. While supplies last. The Kennedy is an hour 20. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike at an hour 5, 390 into the old post office. I-55 still jammed. Weber to Joliet Road as a right-in overturned semi. And that ongoing operation continues. The main line Stevenson right now is an hour and 5 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. The Dan Ryan 37 95th into the Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy this morning. Clouds may break for a bit of afternoon sun and a high of 50. Currently partly sunny and 45. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The honky women were warned that they better get on board with the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pantsuit, or they'd be held to pay in advance of the November 5th election. This is a good representation of the sort of rap you were hearing from the Identitarians. Angela Rye is somebody you see on CNBC and MSNBC, whatever, same deal, often. And she's also part of that zoo crew with Charlemagne the God, who's such a popular stop for Kamala and the Democrats when it comes to radio programs.
You know, I think that it's wonderful that President Obama is out hitting the trail for democracy, frankly. And what I think is a mistake
is to let white folks escape the accountability that they must face for not showing up to save democracy themselves. Like, they want to get mad at presidential candidates, right, when they don't wear a flag lapel pin or they don't see you pledging allegiance to the flag. That's what they want to get upset about. Now, the face of patriotism to them looks like trying to tear down the Capitol in a terrorist attack on January 6, 2021. So the responsibility of saving democracy should be on the largest demographic in this country. That is white men and white women. I don't want to see a women's march with hats come January if something doesn't go right. What I want to see is for them to march themselves to the polls, including today. We are in Detroit, Michigan for an early vote rally. In Michigan, early voting starts next Saturday, which is my birthday, Victor.
Happy birthday.
But today in Detroit starts today. There's a big event at Pistons Land. We will be adjacent to that event, talking to folks, Detroit voters, about what they want to hear, about the agendas that matter to them, about the economy, about healthcare, about ensuring that democracy is preserved, even if it's not perfect. We're doing our part. It's time for white folks to turn their ire and their attention to each other to ensure they also do their part.
That was a couple weeks before the election. On election night, this was Joy Reid on the MSNBC desk after North Carolina had been called for Trump.
Black voters came through for Kamala Harris. White women voters did not. That is what it appears happened in that state, is that if you can't flip enough white women, and we've talked about this on this set numerous times, is that you have a state where you've got a 6-week abortion or a 12-week abortion. I think theirs might be 12 weeks.
Yep.
But it's a state where women lost their reproductive rights, where there was a very heavy push to get women to focus on not putting in place, re-electing, putting back into the White House the person who was responsible for taking those rights away and restoring them. But that message obviously was not enough to get enough white women to vote for Vice President Harris, a fellow woman. This will be the second opportunity that white women in this country have to change the way that they interact with the patriarchy. And
Interact with the patriarchy is a bit of a giveaway, isn't it? Of course, this ignores the fact that Trump 2020 to 2024 performance, voters under 30, 12-point shift to Trump. Black voters, 15-point shift to Trump. Hispanic, 38-point shift to Trump. Asian voters, 32-point shift to Trump. 11 states, blue states, New York, 11-point shift to Trump. California, 11-point shift to Trump. Illinois, 8-point shift to Trump. But it's all the white women's fault because I guess in the minds of Joy Reid and Angela Rye and these other identitarians, they treat white women as some sort of monolith, and they will all vote in one direction and on the same bases, even though if somebody would suggest that of black women or black voters, they would be termed racist, I have no doubt, by Joy Reid and Angela Rye. For more on this, Joanna Williams joins us, Spike columnist, founder of CIEO, and author of How Woke Won, the Elitist Movement that Threatens Democracy, Tolerance, and Reason. Joanna, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
So you wrote about this, the rage against white women that was bubbling below the surface before the election and now has surfaced post-election.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I just needed to get this out there in response to the hatred that was unleashed against white women. It seemed that, exactly as you say, white women were treated as this one monolithic group, that it became acceptable to hate upon. The insult Karens was wheeled out yet again, and this idea that white women somehow were a disappointment, let the sisterhood down. I think it's really disgusting, the language that's been used. It's actually very racialized language that's been used to describe a large proportion of the population.
Amy, go ahead. You're a white woman.
Well, I mean, we're not monolithic. I mean, and some people, like the world that I live in, all the white liberal women voted for Kamala Harris. But the smarter white women voted for Trump. But the big question here is the black women didn't really help Kamala Harris, because if you look at Oprah Winfrey and Michelle Obama, they didn't help her move down the field at all. In fact, we find out that Oprah Winfrey, her production company, was paid $1 million to stage, that town hall that they did for her. So what's your response to that?
I mean, I think the best thing about this election result and Trump's success is that it really just puts paid to identity politics. The idea that people make decisions in life, particularly about who to vote for, based upon their skin color or their biology. We're all more than that. We vote and make these decisions with our brains. We make kind of rational, reasoned decisions looking around at our families, our circumstances, the things that are important to us. And this idea that we can all be bunged together into these identity groups and that we just vote and act according to, like I say, skin color, biology, our sex, our gender. This is absolute rubbish. And I really do think that the massively positive thing about this election result is it just reveals how completely nonsensical this idea is.
It's interesting. Maureen Dowd had this piece a couple of days ago in the New York Times. Democrats in the case of mistaken identity politics. So now, to the extent there's a little bit of introspection going on, now there's what it reveals is that the identitarians have, ironically, a bit of an identity crisis.
I think that's a really good way of putting it. But I think it also just shows that voters, all voters, including women, are not easily, don't like to be insulted and don't like to be patronized. And the idea that as a woman, all I had to do was to see Oprah or Beyonce or Taylor Swift or, to see Julia Roberts telling me that I could vote for anybody I wanted to in the privacy of the voting booth, and I was going to come out and support Kamala Harris just on that basis that other women, these elite celebrities, were telling me that that's what I should do. It's patronizing, it's insulting, and no matter how educated women are or uneducated women are, nobody likes to be patronized and insulted in that way.
Yeah, but we found out, Kamala Harris, she paid for her friends, and Democrats got fleeced by Oprah. I thought, because for the first time ever, Oprah endorsed the candidate. She went to the convention to give her big speech and then built this set for her town hall. And the people that were the small donors, they're the ones, I donated money from my hard-earned paycheck to this campaign, and they built a set with it, and they had celebrities come on that don't even relate to the problems that I have.
Yeah, this is true. It was fake celebrity endorsements. But then I think Kamala Harris was actually a fake candidate. There was nothing about her that seemed to me to be authentic. Every time she opened her mouth, every time she appeared on camera, it just seemed fake. And I think voters, again, the good thing about this election is it shows that voters really see through that. When Trump goes to McDonald's, for example, you kind of know that he really has eaten McDonald's before in his life, that he actually enjoys a Big Mac every now and again. When Kamala Harris is filmed going around a supermarket looking for a bag of Doritos, you kind of think she's never done that before. It just comes across as completely fake.
The idea that women or white women should be monolithic, that's one thing in terms of who they vote for, the candidate, but then also the policies on which they vote. The entirety of the appeal was on abortion.
Yeah, and I think, again, the election shows that that was not actually the number one issue for women. I think the economy, exactly the same concerns that were motivating male voters. So you would expect that women don't live in isolation. They live as part of families, as part of communities, and they have to, budget. They've got to go to the shops and feed their children, feed their families, feed themselves with a limited amount of money. And this is what really, really matters to people. But I think even if you take reproductive rights seriously, it's in and of itself meaningless if you can't actually define what a woman is. And Kamala may have talked about abortion a lot, but it was only Trump who actually seems to know that a woman is an adult human female, that integral to being a woman is having a female body, female biology. being a woman is not just a feeling in your head. It's not just wearing lipstick and a fancy dress. Whereas Kamala Harris, talked about abortion a lot, but she seemed very confused about what it actually means to be a woman.
Now, on the flip side, I don't want to get too excited here about particularly sort of the rich white females in suburbs and metropolitan areas like around Chicago, and also young women coming up. There's still it just exists a huge divide among young men, Gen Z men versus Gen Z women, in terms of party affiliation and in terms of who they voted for president. So there still is this pipeline that the left has. I attribute mostly to government schooling from K through college, and young women being disproportionate, a disproportionate percentage of the population of those institutions. That they're just those institutions that the left still controls are churning out a lot of people that are oriented towards the sort of identitarian thinking you hear from Joy Reid.
Well, I think there's a lot of truth in that, especially the points you're making about school and universities. We see exactly the same thing in the UK. You get these kind of conformist young women who swallow the woke ideology wholesale and get rewarded for doing so with certificates and job prospects that are not available to young men. But I think this only goes so far, and I'm not convinced that this will always be the case. Again, I come back to the idea that men and women live in society together, not in segregated communities. And, if young women are wanting to get boyfriends and husbands and start families, then they need to meet those young men where they're at. And I think, I hope there is a kind of a human nature and impulse that we want to be part of society like that. We want to mix with each other. And I think that's going to break down some of these barriers. But I'm also just not convinced that young women have really swallowed the woke ideology, perhaps as much as it might appear. And I know my own daughter's 18, and I spot amongst her and her friendship group, some signs of a backlash to this that I find quite heartening.
What are your thoughts on this collective meltdown of the white women that you see on, this sex strikes, getting that poison concoction together? Some are shaving their heads.
I mean, it's just embarrassing, isn't it? It really makes me cringe. And, you think if this is, I think for one thing that, this is the best advert for not being woke, for not going down this line of reasoning. And, I think if I was 17, 18 again and watching these women carry on like this online, I think, my goodness me, get me to a Trump rally as soon as possible for a bit of sanity, a bit of normality. I mean, it's unhinged. But I think, if I want to be generous, then you can almost feel sympathetic towards these young women because, if somebody has told you repeatedly over 2 or 3 years that a Trump victory means fascism, it means Hitler, it means Nazism, it means racism and sexism and all your rights being taken away, even though obviously every single one of those things is utter rubbish. But if you've been told that repeatedly, then, you are going to come to believe it, perhaps. You would have this kind of response. So I just think it's hugely irresponsible of the people in the mainstream media, who've been feeding young women these lies.
Joanna Williams is a Spike columnist. She's the author of How Woke Won. She's also a visiting fellow at the Matthias Corvinus Collegium in Hungary. Joanna Williams, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Wow. Are you buying or are you selling? As this is being written, silver is up more than 50% in just the past 8 months. And gold is the highest it's ever been. Whether you are just getting into the metals, want to roll your IRA into silver or gold, or want to take some profits off the table, Fox Valley Coins is ready, willing, and able to help. Even though Fox Valley Coins is a national dealer, they're family-owned and in your own backyard. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville almost always has the product you want in stock and pretty much always has the best pricing when you buy or sell. Buying or selling is easy. Bring your items in. We'll establish the price and pay you cash or check on the spot. Don't wait until the end of the year to move your assets around. Did you know that Fox Valley Coins has sold over 3,000 one-ounce silver Donald Trump coins? We have several designs, but they're going fast. Fox Valley Coins on Route 59 in Naperville. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
The holidays are right around the corner, and it's a time to be home for the holidays. Why not purchase a new lift chair recliner from Mars Medical for you or your loved one to rest in after your big turkey dinner? Mars Medical in New Lenox has 8 models currently in stock to choose from, starting at $829 with free local delivery. Mars Medical also has monthly rentals for lift chairs available if needed for your holiday visitors. Give the gift of mobility, as Mars Medical also has medical scooters and power wheelchairs available for purchase or rent. They make great holiday gifts, and they have many sizes and models to choose from. Financing is available on any purchases over $200 at Mars Medical through Care Credit. Remember, lift chairs, scooters, and power wheelchairs make great Christmas gifts for your loved ones. So get to Mars Medical today and have your new chair in time for the holidays. Mars Medical on the north side of Route 30 between Cedar and Vine Road in New Lenox, or go online to marsmedicalsupply.com. Mars Medical, customer care that is out of this world.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started probably about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity, and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. And now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you. You've watched the news. Rising crime has been affecting our everyday lives in Illinois more and more these days. Blue Star Security can protect you, your business, or your place of worship. Blue Star Security is the only security company in Chicago with over 900 off-duty police officers, all W-2 employees.
I'm Anthony Barchetto, president of Blue Star Security and a 20-year law enforcement veteran. The Blue Star team is made up of over 900 state-certified active and retired law enforcement professionals. We serve businesses and private organizations with supply chain and special event security, and also protect our loved ones at places of worship and schools all across the Chicagoland area. Blue Star Security's technology allows mobilization of off-duty officers quickly and efficiently. Our primary mission is to provide unparalleled protective services for each assignment with integrity, while maintaining our commitment to community service in the Chicagoland area.
Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at bluestarsecurityllc.com. That's bluestarsecurityllc.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, mark your calendars. Stormy Daniels is coming to town. She's doing stand-up comedy at the Comedyplex in where else? Oak Park on Thursday.
This Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
$50, I guess. $50 a ticket. Comedy, Stormy Daniels.
Comedy?
And you know, her approach to comedy is very much like Kamala Harris's approach to campaigning.
What?
She puts her head down and she gets to work.
Hey now, hey-oh. All right, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. Couldn't do it without them. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now let's hit that newsroom one more time. Here is Mike Scott.
Cook County official arrested for DUI.